All right. We were struggling with all of the starting stuff, trying to get everything kicked off again. Multi-streaming. With kicking YouTube, but this time I was doing it with the with the plugins instead of trying to do it with Restream. I definitely didn't want to mess with Restream again, and it looks like everything is working now, except of course when I had set up all my info on the YouTube stream, it fired off a new instance instead of using the scheduled one that I had set, which clearly doing the scheduled thing is not the way that I should do it. Anyway, everything does seem to be working now, so that's a win. We'll see how things go from there. Regardless, I want to get into the third live stream, which I have not watched yet. We're going to watch that one, which has got a nice chunk of stuff with building and crafting and story and lore and stuff about the Landsred. And of course, we saw the number 4 live stream, so some of this is just going to be revisiting. But I want to see everything there is to see. Of course, we still have 2 days before launch. 2 days. Tomorrow we get the preload tomorrow morning after 10 a.m. I guess, my time, Eastern. And I'm ready. I'm ready. Thursday. I'm so ready for Thursday. I'm ready to hop in. My group of peoples that I'm playing with, which some of y'all may know from Star Citizen, some of the IMI folks, Detoxes, and Air Stands, and GT Mats, and Bart is here, and them all are part of the same organization. We're gonna get our shit organized and hop in together and conquer the desert. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's see. Let's do this button over here, and that's the video that we're gonna watch. I was gonna actually, to make it a little easier for me, I was gonna break it off with the 3 subsections, but I'll do that on the end, because like I noticed one thing, like the story and lore thing, Natasha immediately references the cinematic video that plays before it, except they don't play the cinematic video, which kind of irks me a little bit, so I'll just cut the pieces out in the video editor and break it into the 3 pieces and refine it down a little bit later on. For now, we're just going to watch the whole thing so that we can see all of the experience the way that we would have experienced it if it was brand new. So let's go ahead and hop into that. Let's see, we need to pause that background music and do the thing. Okie dokie. I guess I'm going to put myself back here because I know I'm going to be in the way immediately as soon as they start talking. I do love the cinematics, man. Every little bite that I can get for the game, I'm ready.
Hi, hello, and welcome to our third Dune Awakening stream here live from our offices in Oslo. I'm Natasha Rösli, Senior Global PR Manager here at Funcom, and I'm going to be your host for tonight. I'm very excited because we have lots of things to go over, but first, let's talk beta. We have, if you haven't heard it, we have a large-scale beta coming up from the 9th to the 12th of May. And
which, of course, we got to mess around with. That was a good time.
First, you can request access to that beta on our Dune Awakening Steam page. You can also go to our website and request beta access from the website directly, or you should keep an eye on your favorite streamer, content creator, because they might have gift keys to give away as well. Last but not least, we will have a global broadcast from PAX East.
And they gave away a whole crap ton of keys, which is how I got one, so that I could spend 2 days in the beta.
To get some keys during that specific broadcast.
So it's good that they did that for everybody.
Sure to try one or several of them to get higher chances at a key. With that out of the way, what the segments that we have coming up today are the following. We will be talking about building. We will also be talking about narrative and story. We will also be talking about the Landsred and the exchange. We will also have a contest for the building segment, and during our Q&A, we also will have a raffle where we give away some special edition for the game, so stay tuned for that as well. As always, remember, we will be collecting questions during the stream. Our community team will collecting questions, and those should be in relations to what we actually discuss, to the segments that we're discussing. Yes, I think that's pretty much everything. So before we dive into the building segment, let's watch a brand new video.
A terrible sandstorm is building. The only hope for survival is to take shelter, and quickly. On Arrakis, exposure to the raw, unbridled elements is death. But walls alone will not save you from the maelstrom. You need power and the engineering of Cho to raise a protective shield against the storm. Without such protection, even the strongest walls will erode and fail in time, as will anything left in the open. Your exposed vehicle is beyond repair, but a lesson is learned.
Next time you use your vehicle backup tool.
Better protection against the dangers of
At least for the bike.
It's time to upgrade your base. Base construction and expansion can be done alone or together with others. With Solido projections, building as a group is easy. To further customize your base, you must align yourself with one of the warring great houses, displaying your allegiance through their unique architecture. The Atreides welcome your aid. Swear your fealty to the Atreides and rise to greatness on Arrakis. Your base serves as a reflection of both your influence and your allegiance to a faction. The safety provided by your base allows you to craft.
I think they've done such a really good job with the building stuff. I know there's a lot of games that have done this, not the least of which is Conan Exiles, which is an earlier Funcom title.
Once each part of your vehicle is assembled,
there's a lot of depth, I think, to the building, a lot of options.
Further and customize its appearance.
More than I expected initially.
By aligning with the Atreides, you have earned the option to craft their faction-specific ground car.
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
On the horizon, another sandstorm approaches. But this time, you are prepared. Your base is equipped with powerful shields for protection, and a custom-built garage that will keep all your vehicles safe from the raging storm. The shields are vital, but they come with a cost. With a construction of this size, the Emperor demands a tax to keep your base running. You will construct grand bases, and in Dune Awakening, you will have the option to share them with others if you choose.
Building copied.
All your creations can be recorded as blueprints. These can be shared with allies, or even bought and sold on the exchange. Anyone holding a blueprint can instantly place a projection of the entire building and construct an exact copy for themselves. Dune Awakening's building system allows for limitless creativity. Build your foundations strong, for your walls must stand against the unfathomable forces of Arrakis. Your Arrakis.
It's cool stuff. I like the fact that you can sell your blueprints on the market, or the market, right? The exchange, whatever they're calling it. I think that's pretty cool. Be interesting to see how crowded it gets, how quickly. It's probably a good thing that the sieges, the PvP area, rather, you can only have 40 people on at a time. But
welcome back. I have now two
Still.
very exciting guests with me to talk about the building and actually quite a few things that we've seen in the video a little bit in more detail. Welcome, you two. So on my side here, I have Leo Welter, who some of you might recognize. We had on stream earlier with Joel in one of our segments. Would you like to introduce yourself quickly?
Yes, I'm Leo. I'm a lead game designer on Dune Awakening, and I'm responsible for building and social systems.
Yes, and then we have a new face on the stream on the side there, Tor Egil Andersen, also known as Mr. Legendary Tor Egil for some on the Discord, because he's actually the one who does all the magic.
Don't worry, Glitch, good to see you.
When you see buildings in like marketing.
Yeah, and I totally agree, Galga. It is an investment in
context,
time, and to be able to
amazing
see, but even if it's just saving it for yourself, super important. And I think it's going to be a major factor in the deep desert.
Yeah,
Since every week everything gets wiped.
Funcom since 2011, and I'm the senior content manager on the marketing team. So usually when you see something built or you see videos or images, I'm usually involved in some way.
Absolutely, like I said, magic. So when we talk building system, we should probably also talk about what is the goal with the building system and kind of how does it differ from, let's say, Colony Cells, for example. Leo.
Yeah, so for the building system, two things we really wanted to emphasize is that on one hand, we want to retain the freedom that you had in Conan Exiles, right? So you can build quite a lot without restriction, but on the other hand, we also wanted to make sure that building worked on another level of persistence that we have in Dune Awakening, right? So some restrictions were necessary there. So we wanted to make sure that those two things worked hand in hand.
Yeah, because you have a seamless world and it's very heavy on your system as well otherwise. Yeah, I think when it comes to quality of life improvements, is there anything that you feel we learned from Conan Exiles that goes into Dune Awakening?
So the building system in Conan Exiles evolved through many, many years, and that also taught us much for Dune Awakening. So I felt we've taken those learnings and put them in here, and so it's a bit of an evolvement of the Conan Exiles building system, but it's also it allows us to basically take those learnings, but also expand the system with especially more unique building pieces, more unique styles, and make it flow easily as you build. So now Conan Exiles is unique in that it has through 8 years been adding dozens of building sets. So we're not there yet on Dune Awakening, obviously, but we have 4 at launch, and we're going to keep adding as we go on.
And of course, one of the differences that was mentioned is the land claim and the sub-fief basically that you place down. I think we should just jump into the game and actually show what that looks like and how you...
Total sidebar, but for anybody that hasn't been paying attention to the Dune Awakening news, they announced yesterday that a private server rental will be available at launch for people who are interested in that. It's kind of relevant to the building stuff because there's definitely going to be people that are mostly in the game about doing the PvE content either by themselves or with friends, right? And they want to build. And they're not necessarily interested in the MMO aspect, which I very much am. For me, it's not going to be about a private server at all. It's going to be about getting on the public server and the dynamic experience, playing with friends and people that we don't know and all of that, right? But the fact that they said private servers soon, and now, boom, they've managed to pull that out of their hat before launch, right? At launch, you'll be able to rent a private server, and you rent the server from Funcom. There's a lot of good information about it. I'll find the link here in just a second as they start talking and share it in case anybody wants to read the whole deal. But I think they're doing it pretty smart. And I mean, in a way, you rent a siege, and that's the PvE area, and that siege connects to a deep desert of only other private servers. So it's not like they're going to cross and intermingle people who are playing in the private servers who obviously they're going to have a different set of overall obstacles to face if you rent a private server that's just for you and your buddies. You guys are the only ones that are going to get to use the PvE areas on that siege, right? Unless you decide to open it up for other people. And I don't know exactly how that works, but I believe they've got all the information, right? So they don't necessarily want those people crossing over into live server deep deserts where people may not have the same access to the PvE materials because there's no other people contesting who gets to grab them first. Right. But so I think they've been pretty smart about the way that they're doing it. I don't know that necessarily that the price is right. I want to say that it's in the neighborhood of $50, which seems a little expensive to me. But if you have a group and you want a private server, you guys could obviously share that cost. And that's not that bad. And, you know, I mean, server costs are server costs. They are what they are. Like I said, for me, it's an MMO-esque experience that I'm looking for. So I want to play in a public server with, you know, whoever we run into and all of the varied sieges. So, but I thought it was cool. So where I got off on the tangent was the soon TM thing, right? For those of you that might be coming over from Star Citizen like I am, soon TM means something completely different with CIG. Usually means, you know, hey, 2 years, right? That's the meme. We'll see it in 2 years. Totally seems to be a different vibe coming from Funcom. They say soon, and here we are, just weeks later from, you know, their live stream where they talked about it, and boom, it's going to be in right at launch. So I look forward to seeing how often they add build sets, right? Like I said, there's going to be 4 at launch, and what we got Chome, we got Atreides, we got Harkonnen. What's the other one? Is it the Twitch drops? Because we know that they mentioned Twitch drops in live stream number 4, which at least have some Chome elements. So I don't even know what the 4th one is. Maybe they'll talk about it today since they are talking about the building stuff. So seeing more stuff, that 3rd faction that they said will be coming shortly after launch, I figured might be 6 months into the year. Maybe it won't take that long to get that 3rd faction ad. But even that, even 6 months into the year, is a lot sooner than the 2 years plus that we'd expect from CIG, right? Anyway, I'll get off of that tangent and get back to the video. But it just made me think, wow, I can't believe they're getting this done at launch. It's just really made me excited for the overall growth and progress with Funcom team, because they're in it. Man, they're in it to win it, as I would say, to get the game ready for everybody to enjoy at length, and I'm really excited about that.
Start.
Maybe that's super obvious.
So then, you're not quite dead.
That's funny because that's the cinematic that they don't play before. Anyway, whatever. It's the whole reason I'm watching the whole thing instead of in chunks.
Yeah.
Okay, now we see. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. They had to grab the right scene.
So we have 2 ground cars out here, and we're looking for a spot to build our base.
I can't wait to get my buggy. I didn't get the buggy in the beta weekend, and it is one of my big goals, one of my early goals, is to get it as soon as possible.
By placing our sub-thief console, which is how we claim a piece of land.
One thing to keep in mind there is that you see these outlines, and you can see where there's red, there is a point of interest, NPC camp, something like that, so you cannot build there. But the other places you can build.
Including in the desert, which is not a wise move.
Starting sub-thief console, which is basically just in Haga Basin South. You want to talk about the differences, Leo?
Yep. So later on in progression, you'll unlock the advanced sub-thief console, which can claim a larger piece of land, which is the one you can see here. And that one can also be expanded to an even greater area. Or it can be expanded vertically as well, if you want to do that. All right, so now that we have the sub-thief console here, what you can do is add the other player here to its permission list, and that will give them access to it as well. So now they're an associate, you can elevate them to co in their level of permission, and they'll give them increased rights to
Permissions.
perform various activities.
Something
on
else
the
that
base.
makes me cry with
Now,
CIG.
this is the base management screen, as we call it, and here you can see details such as the name of the
You
base.
can see
on
the
left
taxation
corner,
here already,
which can be changed as well.
right? Because the advanced sub-peep,
Yeah,
no
you can
matter
see
how
that
small
there.
the base is,
Do
that's
whatever
when you
name
have
you
to deal
like.
with the tax
And,
that you go pay.
Then you can choose if it's your respawn location or not. You see some stats about the base there, the area and the number of objects of various categories against the current cap.
Das Willy.
And the cap
They
that
don't
you see
seem
there
very
is also
excited.
expanded when
Sometimes
you-
their manner is
when
very
you expand the
flat,
base.
particularly
And then
some
you
of the
have some,
devs.
shield status information.
Some of them
as well
are more
there.
excited when
And
you
the
see them
base
talk
shields,
about it. Like, Joel
once
seems
they're
hyped
up,
about the
they
whole
will
thing.
protect your base against storm damage.
Yeah, this is crucial in Dune, though,
Yeah.
to have your shields active. Otherwise, your base will start deteriorating.
Also,
Yeah.
we see a tax area there as well, of
Yeah.
course, for the
Yeah.
taxes.
Yeah, so the advanced sub-5 console is taxed on a cycle, and yeah, if you don't end up paying that, then you'll lose your shield privileges, which will mean that the base will start taking damage.
Right.
the
That's sort of a
base.
maintenance.
I like that it's a
cost.
soft
Right, and also like the base
deconstruction of the
things,
base, right? It isn't
No,
just
the
you
first
don't pay your
it's not
tax, or
taxed,
it's just
no.
2 weeks if
Only
you don't
when you
log in,
progress
just
further
boom,
into the game.
your base dies. It's
Right now, I'm claiming more land.
It's one more
which is
thing I
something
think
you can
they've
do with the advanced sub
done in
console.
an intelligent
So I'm
way.
gonna claim this land, and as we play, Camille is also going to claim some more. You can keep advancing, expanding your base until you have 6 land claims. So it's quite a big area.
Yeah.
It's not
Wow.
infinite, obviously, but it's still quite big.
Yeah, you have the
6
staking
lane
unit working
claims
over
spread
there,
across
right? And
3.
the more segments you've claimed, the
Oh.
longer this will take, right?
Can- I
And
wonder,
if
can you
this
use
was a
the
PvP
lane
area,
claim
this is a process that
expansions
can,
with the regular sub-beef? I don't think so. I
followed.
think it's just the advanced, right?
Yeah, you see you have a countdown here. And Camille is...
But you can still have
started to build
2
here,
regular
so
sub-beefs in
we
addition.
can build our base together. That's a good thing in the game here. Let me just show you the basics of building here.
I think it's also important to mention that you can claim not just vertically, but also horizontally, right?
Yeah, you can expand in
Yes.
in either dimension, right? So you can.
And that's a very good point, because you can keep on building high. Like you can build super cool bases on top of these peaks. Find a
I want some
nice,
verticality on my
elevated
base for
place
sure.
and just, yeah, build a cool base. And we're going to see examples of that,
Yes.
later.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, you don't have to expand horizontally if you don't want to. You could expand vertically and get what you need in terms of caps from that as well.
Yeah. And here,
I
Camille has
wonder
placed
how much
some,
height you get from an
projections.
expansion when you go
So we can
vertically.
fill these. So you can just design your base and let others help construct it.
Yeah, those projections are also useful for planning out your design if you don't have enough resources available.
And for anybody that doesn't know the projections they're talking
And also
about,
you
you
see
can
you,
do
like,
your whole
Put
base
out
in
foundations
projections.
first here
Right, that's
to
how you
kinda
create a
have some
blueprint,
stability
actually.
going.
And then you can let
That's where
somebody
the-
else do
the
all of
stability
the
comes
actual
from the
building.
foundations and-
Or you don't even have to build
from that
anything at
point,
all. You
you
wipe it
can
all out and start over
expand
and then
further with
design another
walls and
base to
other
sell a blueprint,
structures.
which all of that's very
Some
cool to
important
me.
thing your base is going to need is power, as we talked about, to power the shields. So I'm going to place a generator here. Now you can't get power from nothing. You have to have fuel for it. But we have a bit here. So I'm going to add the fuel.
Also, I just want to mention that we're actually cheating here a little bit. So
Yeah.
we have dehydration off.
Cheaters.
And we also don't have
Cheaters.
sunstroke.
Yeah.
So it just
Funcom
just
cheaters
so you know, just to
confirmed.
makes it easier for us to actually show all
Yeah.
the things that we want to
You
show.
can focus on building here.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And here you can see the shields are now active.
Yeah. You can see it on the generator there and
Yeah.
on the sub-thief console effect that you have underneath there.
So, and you can move things you placed. You can't move building pieces, but you can move your placeables. And you can also easily, you can see here on my right side, I can control what I want to do. Piece picker, repair, move, demolish, or build. And this is very, very handy, and you can just, on a mouse and keyboard, you can just swap between it with a right click. So with piece picker, you can easily pick the piece you want, and now you have it selected.
Yeah, that's how we allow you
So-
to do most building related activities just with the use of one tool.
and demolish. The moment you remove a piece, you get full refund on the resources.
Which I personally love.
Yeah.
Because it just makes it like, so you don't make mistakes and you get like punished for it, or like if
It's
you don't
not a
like
disaster
something.
if
I
you
love
make a
that.
mistake,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and also we've now put
It's a
down
little bit
some,
less of a
storage chests,
hardcore
as you can see,
attitude, but I
which
think it's
is
probably the
very
best
cool
choice.
as well, because you can actually craft but also build straight out of those
Yeah.
storage chests.
Yes, it will automatically take
More in the way of
the
Starfield.
resources you have.
Yeah,
Recreated
as long,
pods,
of course,
etc.
as you do.
Yeah,
have,
I think that it would probably
those
be more like
resources
Starfield, like you're saying. That's what
collected,
I
as you have
believe
them available.
that's where CIG will
Talking
go.
about that, we have.
I think this would be a bit
Camille,
much
who
for
is
Star
now
Citizen,
also
even though
going
personally I
out
think it would be very
to
cool.
Harvest some resources.
I think
for
it
us.
would be
We have enough to
Very
build
difficult to
and
pull
some more
off the same
things.
thing, especially since
He's on the way
Star Citizen's
to
open
collect
PvP,
some
right? You can just
bananas.
imagine
see another
here in the
building
interface
something
trying to
as
build
well.
your base, and here
Started
comes,
looking
you
into
know,
the
Griefer
Chrome
Net or
Foundation
Shadow
area.
Moses or
So at the
somebody
moment
messing
we
up your
have,
stuff.
the building
So that would
starter
probably be a
building
little
set is the
much.
Chrome shelter.
Okay, and now we are actually switching over to Camille.
Yeah.
I imagine there'll be, you know, the customization we'll get in Star Citizen will be more like, you know, skins.
Driving the mining buggy.
Out looking for some resources.
Yes.
So let's see what we find.
Yes, you can see it has a mining turret on top there.
Yeah. So this is a more
Look at all
advanced
of the-
version of mining.
look at all the
So you
wreckage
can
to
drive
salvage.
around. You're looking for some resource node or some wreck that you want to mine from. And once you find something you like this node here, you can just jump into the turret and mine it for some resources. And this is a lot more effective than doing it on foot.
He's doing it on
I
his own
wondered
now,
how
but of
difficult
course you
it would
can
be
do
to
with a
swap to
friend,
the
so one
turret.
can drive and the other one because actually can use the turret.
For sure.
Goes way faster.
4 hours ruined by an M2 in seconds. Yeah, exactly.
With the backup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is cool if you have one driver and one miner.
yeah, it's
So
easier
it's-
than
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So that makes it a bit easier. But
There we
it
go.
is, it's possible with just one
efficient.
person.
Yes, it's more efficient. You get
But it's not as bad as like a
you
mole
mine some carbon here.
in Star Citizen. You don't have to get up and walk around and then get in the other turret. So it could
Alright.
be worse.
No,
And the added storage in the
We're heading
buggy
back.
is probably going to
we're looking for
offset
more
the
resources.
extra clicks for
fine.
sure.
So he's driving in Galathir now, which is above the rift. So you can see there's a lot of elevation here. This is a cool place to build tall
So this
buildings.
is like the fourth zone or
um,
something.
I
It's
like
north of the
building
rift.
buildings, bases hanging out over ledges, for example, can be very fun.
Yeah, you can build up
Mm-hmm.
on those spires if you want to, and
Yeah, I think we can go back and do some more building.
Yes, okay, so we were talking about the different building sets. Right now we're showing off the Chom sets. As I said, you start with this one, Chom Shelter. The next one here is Chom
I
Facility.
hear combat.
These you can learn with just progressing, basically. But in addition, you have Atreides and Harkonnen building pieces. And for these, you got to align with one of the factions.
yeah, so you progress from one to the other, and then you can pick one of the factions. That,
Yeah, you don't lose your
depending on which
Atreides
faction
skin
you
if you
align.
betray Atreides to go Harkonnen and vice versa. That's kind of nice. However, you can only betray any given house once.
Bases to show from that.
Hey, how you
So
doing,
yeah,
Daxo?
so Narna didn't get the angle right. So then
Yes,
it's
me too,
demolished
Gal.
and
How
just
clearly
build
defined the
it.
inner and outer faces are for the pieces. Yes, they do make that easy. I tell you what, of course, I don't remember what button press was now, but I had the hardest time trying to figure out how to switch. Because the first time I went to go build, it was highlighting the interface, and then the next time it was the outer face. And for me to get the piece placed, I had to crawl all the way outside and peek across.
But
it's- there
there
is
a piece for it.
A button press to rotate it.
So you actually expanded on the.
So I think there could maybe be a little bit more in the way of tooltips in the building tool.
Yes.
So I quite like.
But it
for
is actually
example,
very
the
powerful.
Half height. So you have half height walls. This will work well with the roofs because some of them are not just flat; they are they build up, you know, a 1/2 height. So you can see here. Let's see. One more.
There you go.
So you have basically a piece for every slot.
Yeah, and there are a lot more
Also
buried
not
pieces
super
that I
familiar
didn't
with,
realize either. I was
sauce
stuck with
building,
the
but building
favorites
pieces here are quite a bit
when I
bigger.
first started
Yes.
building because I didn't
really
realize
helps with
there was a way to
repetition. If you're
expand
building
that and
base
see all
and
of
you
the
feel
extra
that
curves
pieces just
and
keep
angles and
repeating,
ramps and columns, and I was like, wait a
becomes bit
minute.
boring. With the bigger pieces, you get less of that. So it's more visually interesting.
And as soon as I saw
Yeah,
that, I
it's
immediately
also
spent
helps
an
when
hour
you're building a
revamping my
huge
base.
because you want to accommodate the vehicles that we see there, or
Yes.
even bigger vehicles that we have.
So right now I'm just mixing and matching a little bit here.
God, back
So here you can see the second tier has different colors. The Harkonnen and Atreides building set are very different. They have
Okay,
very
so
different
that's the
colors and looks,
fourth building
and they
set
have
then, is the tier
their
2
own, unique pieces.
Chom.
Chom here has some unique pieces as well. For example, like these ones, you can build these open areas, so you can basically build sort of little verandas, I would say. I built it just inside here now. But the Harkonnen and Atreides have
That's
even
cool.
more unique pieces, so we're going to look at them later also. But especially things like the gates are massive and iconic. So the Atreides gate, for example, has a huge hawk on it, while the Harkonnen one has a big face. So we're going to show them in bases later.
Yeah, the Harkonnen stuff has a little bit of the necromonger vibe, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yes.
Lower end sets.
Here you can see the Harkonnen walls, for example. We can just place one here now, just to take a quick
There's a
look.
wall in Camille there.
Yes.
It's quite a different style.
You see the style
Yes.
is completely
It's very different, yeah.
and unique, right? Because this structure here will allow tons of creativity. Because you can make all sorts of shapes. You can put these on tops of your bases or on the bottom, and we'll see a lot of that.
It'll definitly stand out in the
Yes, I was about
desert,
to
for
mention
sure.
that.
All of
We'll
a sudden,
actually
this
see that
stark
later
black
on
building.
When we do show some buildings that our beta testers have built in the beta. Yeah, so once you have your build, of course, you start to also add machinery, right? Like to really establish your base.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's lots to choose from here. For example, we have shown a little bit of power generation. We can place a wind turbine here. So this will allow us to get more power.
Yeah, it's the next level of progression from the generator that you saw. Generates a bit more efficient.
And here you can see there are...
Hey, but you still need to
different
provide a
tiers.
resource,
As
it looks
as
like. You have to
progress in the
provide
game, you will unlock
lubricant.
these, and,
They get big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, they get really big. This is something really helpful in the game. This wind trap, it will help gather water for you. So it
Yeah.
will automate survival.
Yeah,
a little
those
bit.
will
You don't
probably
have
be
to go around,
vital.
hunt for so much water. You will be able to find it. in
Water
your
is
base,
definitely, I think, going to
and
be
it
the
will
primary
fill
resource.
cisterns,
Spice will
that you
be
can place,
probably overall the most
yeah.
important, but I
It's a
bet
bit more
water's the one you have to
convenient
gather
deal
the
with water
most of.
pressure as you go along.
Of course, it gets more complicated as well because you have to make sure you have more power, you have enough power,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
that they're all on the right circuit and all that. So
Yeah.
the bigger you build, the more kind of management is
Yeah.
also asked of you.
Right, there you have a fabricator. So this is the first one you'll get access to, and this one can be used to fabricate basic equipment from different categories. So let's see how that looks.
Yeah, so we can just start making making a pistol, for example. And you can
I kind of
see
like that,
actually
there's the whole animation thing. It shows you what's being created.
Yeah.
crafts.
I think it's cool.
And of course, you will be able to advance with different kinds of fabricators for different purposes. The biggest one is the huge vehicle fabricator here.
Yeah.
I
A
have one
vehicle
in the
fabricator?
base we're gonna
Wow.
Look at later, but they're hard to place. So you need a lot of room.
Yeah, so this first one can be used to craft from many different categories, right? But as you go deeper into the technology, then you'll branch out and build more specific fabricators. For example,
The
this
team
one
trying to get
specialized for
organized.
garments, and then you have other ones for weapons.
Placing
or
resources so they
resources
can
and
build, and this one trying to place
And as you
build
craft, you're gonna need more
stuff
and more
in the
resources.
building.
So there are refineries, and for example, here we have spice refineries. You place one of them. The biggest one of them is gigantic. So you see
Now you run out of power.
I went over my power limit, so now we need more power generation. So these are things you got to keep in mind as you build and as you expand.
You see that information on the subfief as well. You can actually
Yes.
check how much power is needed, and
Yeah.
You can always go in here and see how you're doing. And you can refuel all your generators from here. So if you have a huge base, lots of land claim, you have you know, wind turbines all over
That's
the place,
good
you
to
can
know.
refuel them from this one.
very
Yeah.
convenient.
Yeah.
Another thing that I love too is the fact that I think I briefly mentioned it earlier as well, that you can craft from those storages that you have directly. Another thing I really love though is the fact that you can actually move those chests without having to empty them first,
Yeah.
which is something that I really appreciate.
That makes it a lot more
personally.
convenient if you want
Yeah.
to rearrange your base. You don't
Yes,
have to.
exactly.
Yeah, and what they haven't mentioned, and I don't know if they will here, but they have mentioned in other videos, is the being able to set up circuits, right? So you can create a circuit where you tie a supply box to a fabricator, and then another box, which is a place to store the stuff that's created in the output end of the circuit. So you could put two boxes next to that fabricator if you wanted to, and one would be the stuff that you put in to fabricate from, and one would be the box where all of the stuff that gets fabricated winds up. And they don't have to be next to each other, obviously. You could put them wherever you want in the base. But I think that's pretty cool because you can add circuits, is my understanding. I only saw two in the beta, but I believe you could just create another one. And that lets you channel resources to specific fabricators, right? Like if you know that you want your guys to be able to go build their weapons and armor and stuff in this fabricator, this is where you put the stuff for that. But the people that want to build vehicle stuff or whatever, you put stuff in that box over there, and the vehicle guy can use that vehicle fabricator and know that that's where the materials go for that. Instead of it all being in one giant pool, obviously if you're working on stuff and it's just you, it doesn't necessarily matter as much. But I thought that was a really cool extra level of control that so many games don't have. That's really awesome. Looks a lot like the small fabricator from Citizen Kind. On the right to where he's building. Yes. Yeah, I think there's some stuff that's similar. Yeah, that's the one of the generators. Unless it's this one here, Dust Willie, I'm sorry, the different delays in chat make it difficult for me to know exactly what we're talking about. But this is the blood purifier here. So you fill your blood bags and then you deposit them, and this turns it into water that you can use. I think this is a blood purifier. And then that other thing with that's kind of the long can thing laid over on the base is actually a power generator. This one over here is a regular fabricator. But there's a lot of different kinds of equipment too. And I do see some similarities. I really like that the bases here in Dune seem much more permanent. You know, the stone feels more relevant. I mean, metal's fine, but it only makes sense to use the stone as a resource. While Star Citizen, everything that we've seen from Citizen Con and all that really looks like they're all metal modules.
Move items out of your chests before you move them.
It's a little quality of life thing that makes
helps
such
a
a
lot.
huge difference. Yeah, absolutely.
So here we place the next tier of wind trap. As long as you have a shielded base, all your placeables, your decorations, all your utilities, they are also shielded. So even if they are on the roof, they have protection.
We talked about the different building sets, of course. You mentioned factions and things that we have for right now. And from what I understand, we will also have after this, we also have Twitch drops that will be giving you some new pieces. Not we want to spoil any more details about that, but there's opportunities for people.
I can say I've been looking at them recently.
They look amazing, don't they? Yeah.
Genuinely.
Okay. Which is a bit mean that we're saying that now without showing them, but they are.
I'm glad that they're doing it.
Cool.
I'm glad that they're doing that kind of stuff. It definitely it helps the community
100%.
stay engaged with streamers and all that. Maybe that's a selfish thing for me, although I watch plenty of streams as well.
Decorations, obviously.
But that's an extra level, I think, of investment from Funcom,
and Harkonnen,
right? To stay connected with the community in an active fashion.
Soon, so don't worry, you're gonna see them all placed out. You can have wall decorations, carpets. So yeah, there's lots to look forward to here. Yeah, a unique and just remember the pieces will keep on coming.
Yes.
All right. Do we want to talk a little bit about copying bases?
Yeah, let's do that.
So in my inventory, I have a base copied already that I built before, and it is here. So it's in this replicator. So here you can see a base I've built. And as long as you have this item and you have enough land claim, you can now place out the projection of this base.
Yeah, so the way this works is that you can craft one of those Solido replicators, and with that you can then copy a design of a previous base and place it somewhere else. Or you can sell it to someone or give it to someone else.
Yes, we actually talked about that as well in one of the later segments. Exactly. Yeah. Actually something that's very
You know what I just thought about, though, is if you die and you have one in your inventory and you don't recover your corpse because you can't or you don't or you forget or the worm eats you, is there any way to retrieve that blueprint, or is it only contained in that fabricator? Because that's kind of something to really consider there. Right? That means that if you were to, you would definitely want to make sure you store that stuff someplace safe. That makes me cringe a little bit, just a little bit. Not that I think there's necessarily a better way to do it, but that gives me immediate concern because I don't want to lose all of the time invested in something like that.
You can see me placing the base I was just previewing. So first, you gotta try and adjust it to find a spot, and once you place it, you can then confirm. So now it is placed. Now I cannot see it anymore, but the moment I build my building tool up, I put it here. Now I can see the outline of this base, and I can start filling in the pieces. Now, even if I copied it and I placed it out, you still need to place out the building pieces. Like you don't get them for free, right? You have to craft your base. Yeah. And this base is basically, the idea of it is that it's a forward operating base that could be very handy for the deep desert because it has several places for shielded ornithopters, and basically a core structure that has a lot of room for crafting machines and stuff like that.
We can actually show that because we have a video prepared for what it actually looks like once you have it completely built again.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll save you a lot of time
and
each
there
week.
It is. Yeah, and there it is. I mean, that's a
great looking base.
That's magic.
It's pretty
right
cool.
There. Yeah. So it gives you an opportunity to see. Like,
I love the shields.
All things you can do. You have like those different doors here that you can
protection
actually
and stuff,
fly in or drive through without having to open and close. Even though they're like kind of, you can't go in there if you don't have permission. Penta shields, exactly. You also see the big wind traps on the side. Those are actually.
Yeah, wind turbines.
Wind turbines.
Yeah. Yes. And so here's the interesting part. You can build creatively just for beauty's sake, or you can build very, efficiently and just make a box. That's up to you. And here I sort of combined it a bit. I made it reasonably concise, square-shaped to be easier to place out. And but still, I've added a little bit of flourish here. You can see especially the Atreides pieces, the wings, which is a unique Atreides feature here, and the gate you see there. But it's of course functional for the deep desert with the ornithopters.
To the
and you have
access
room for them.
points, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
on the roof. And also, like, they lend itself really well to, like, kind of mirror, like, buildings,
Yeah,
those specific
it does.
pieces, which is very
And
cool.
you see those
Yeah.
pentashields there, they fully protect you against the shields and protect against the storms.
Yes.
And they protect the vehicles against the storm
Yeah.
damage as well.
So just make sure you have enough power and you'll be.
Although that
Okay, so we can actually
That's
now
not protected.
switch again and check out some
not by that Pentashield at
other
least.
faction buildings.
Yes. So right now we've moved a little bit. I just got to get out of the sand here. I see the worm is prowling.
That's dangerous.
Yes. I'm close enough to land here.
You were
But yeah.
that's close to the sand, though. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So
It's risky.
yep.
So here I built a base with the two different chome sets. So we're gonna get a better look at it. I'm gonna fly up and stuff later, but you can see a little bit of an outline here. You can see some banners, things like that.
I really kind of
by
like the
entrance
the
here.
bases that are built
and,
into the clips and the
Pentashield
columns
protects
and all
it.
of that.
So we're gonna head in.
A lot of machinery going on there as well.
Yeah.
Refinery there.
Little picnic table in the middle. I like it. And here we have a nice resting area.
So here we have chome decorations, which I really like. The walls here, the bed, and you can really, if you
Sorry,
want to.
70s, isn't it? Like a little bit, or is it? Yeah, 70s.
Yeah, you could say that.
A bit of a vibe.
Yeah. Quite like the bookshelves here. So you see, like, even if, okay, Dune Awakening is, it focuses on survival, you have to, beware of the sandworm, the sandstorms, you can still do things like this. You can still be creative, you can still build if that's what you want to do. And here I'm playing around with elevation here inside, and you see that as we get outside also.
You gotta chill sometimes too, like. You
Yeah,
gotta
exactly.
enjoy your spiced tea and yeah.
Yes, and yes, because you can see there's lots of cutlery and cups and nice things, right? And you can just build this with your guild, and
You can definitely make it feel very lived in.
Be about
Sounded like a
maximizing
spice
profits
blow.
and fighting.
Exactly.
Nice combination with the functional downstairs there and then the sitting area
The
above.
social areas, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I
Okay.
agree.
So I'm gonna head up so that we can get a bit better look at.
And also really
the
nice to
space.
see the
Same pattern as the room dividers,
the
yeah.
verticality here as well, like how you can build, like also like nicely built into the mountainside here.
Yes, and we'll see that as I get into the thopter here. So here we have a chome thopter. We're just going to take off and take a little look at the base.
Oh, maybe
here.
it was a crash.
So here you can see the combination of the two chome sets. You
The more sandy color for the basic one, and then the white one
yeah,
for that one.
and they kind of I feel they really fit in with Dune here. The style of them,
Making use of the verticality here in this
Yes.
limited space, right?
Yes, exactly. And because this is an obvious thing in Dune Awakening that you may not think about, like you cannot build a base anywhere. If you build it out in the sand, it's
Well,
going
you
to get...
It will be
But,
early access for the people that bought the deluxe versions. Launch is Thursday,
So, and up here,
10
for example,
a.m.
I
So
have
2
a
days.
Chome Assault Thopter,
2
which
days.
is,
Regular
it's a
launch
little
for
bit bigger than mine
regular
here.
purchases is on the 10th, which is 5 days
Yeah,
later.
so you can see you can
Soon.
build both
So
functionally
soon.
and, if you
I'm
want
not
to
playing. We're
play
watching
around
a
with
live
the
stream, one of the
things,
Funcom
you
live
can do
streams that I hadn't seen yet.
that. So we got a peek at
This
this
is,
base.
the
I'll get a
Funcom
little
video.
veranda Here, actually, just
It's nice how you see those Prudence doors glowing there from a distance.
Yeah, and here you can see these.
Oh, you know what? I didn't
unique,
actually. Of course,
chome,
that's over in
pieces.
Twitch. Twitch should have the
For
right
example, this
information.
here, so you
Yeah.
can have a
But
little
you know what? I
seating
don't
area.
have
The ones you mentioned earlier.
the title really set
Oh, we
right.
see the worm.
Ooh,
But we are
it is
safe in
closed
the air.
though. Oh my
Yeah,
god, it's
yeah.
very close.
He
I
can't
thought
get
I
up here,
changed
so
that on
everything
freaking
is all right.
YouTube.
All right, so I'm gonna head over to an Atreides base.
Dang it.
By the way, I'm in. I have the sunset die, the swatch for the Thopter. So, and this is part of the pre-order reward. So now, yeah, we see the worm below us. Actually, that's quite fun.
A bit too
Safe up
close.
there. So some code, you're not safe in the area if you're too close. Just we mentioned that just now. Like, yeah, if you get into the beta, you can test how close you can get with the ornithopter to the storm before, to the worm before it's.
So our Thopter here has a couple of modules. It has a boost, so I can fly faster. The clue there is not to overheat. And I have a scanner. You can just scan a little bit and then reveals resources as you go. You can see the area is quite decent on this.
Oh, and you
So we're
lost
just
all of that
flying towards the
information.
shield
This is really annoying
built
me.
a big
YouTube's
trading
kind of
space up
pissing me
here.
off in the background, Zariel.
Right now, this is a trade post we see in front of us. So this is an important location for players because you can find trainers here. You can trade. You can find contracts, all sorts of things.
It's a hub for activities in the region, right?
Yeah. On our right here we have Vermilius Gap, and on our left we have Misoteril and the Odam, and then we have the shield wall up here. So now you can actually see, my base here coming into view. Built a big Atreides base here. This is using all 6 land claim areas. So this is basically, it's filling out. You can build a little bit bigger, but not a lot. So, and here you can really see the verticality. You can see I built along the cliff here, and you can see the Atreides wings. So these jut out. And you see the unique Atreides colors here.
That's great for that spot.
It's a nice spot, and it gives you a view of almost the whole map, right?
A new really great vantage point. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm gonna settle down here.
I can't wait to have an ornithopter to fly around with.
Here you can see the Atreides pieces as they have been used, and these are
really
unique.
Big. They're
They
very
have
big
unique
too.
walls, these wings, everything is unique here. So in the base here, for example, here I have the biggest vehicle fabricator right here. So it's a huge platform.
Some water storage there as well, I see.
Yeah.
Large water tanks.
And here the Atreides assault ornithopter with rocket pods there. So, and yeah, I'm gonna show you a little bit around this space. Actually, I want to show the front of it a little bit to show off the gate, because the Atreides gate I really love. I just want to take a quick look at it here from this side as well, because the hawk of the Atreides
Look at all
gate
that sticks this
is
time.
really, it's both creative and sort of majestic. Cool here, so you can see.
Well, I prefer the Harkonnen, just saying. But,
Yeah, we're gonna show another Harkonnen.
She prefers the Harkonnen.
But
I think all of the building sets are pretty cool. I'm hoping that we'll get
so we're gonna take a look at them.
some different color
You'll
options
see
down the
combination
line.
of the functional there as well with the
Yes.
the wind traps and the turbines.
Plenty
You
of
can
building
see
sets,
the
so they said they're
creativity
going,
here too, or like
we've got
the-
4
the
at
eye
launch and more
for
coming
as
afterwards,
well,
so
because
that'll be cool.
Some people might just, stack them next to each other somewhere down in the basement.
Yeah.
And here we have well, obviously not the.
You're lucky Tor Egil here isn't in the competition, right?
I really like the interiors in the Atreides.
There you go. We could do
Contestants
that. Yeah, we could do that for the future though. Like meet Tor Egil.
That'd be something.
So here
Oh,
I've
this is
decorated an Atreides room. It's using both Atreides decorations and the Caladan Palace set.
Right, the one that you get when you pre-order.
Yes, you get it in the Ultimate Edition. So actually here I have the terrarium
And the Muad'Dib as
You can see him in there. There
Yes.
he is.
Muad'Dib.
And yeah,
Another.
the Caladan Palace set is big. It has both building pieces and these decorations, so I can show you some unique things from it. For example, it has these unique wood panels that you can put on your walls. It has, you can see a portrait here. I think this is Paul's grandfather, Leto.
Leto the first, was it?
And yes. So you can see these are part of the Caladan Palace set. These nice furniture, and even some roof pieces.
This is the ad
roof
spot for the
piece,
Ultimate Edition.
This roof piece, and these doors. So it's a fully functional, can build fully functional rooms with it. But and these holograms, you can see.
It's
decorations, so you
$89
can basically
US,
go
I
to
believe,
crazy.
$90
You can put
for the
together all
Ultimate
sorts of
Edition.
things. bookcases.
I think it's
banners,
79
holograms,
for
glow globes.
the regular
And up here, we
deluxe
have a
or
unique
regular
piece, which is,
regular deluxe,
like
and
a
then
fresco.
49 for the
Players will be able
regular.
to get access to this.
Eventually.
yeah, it's not terrible, all things considered, right? And the Ultimate
It's a
Edition
great
does
looking
all,
piece, though.
It
actually
is,
both the
though,
Deluxe and the Ultimate also include
big too, that too.
the first 4 DLCs, is I think what they
this
said,
is
as part of
amazing.
the
I think we
season
should
pass.
Maybe move over to a Harkonnen
So-
base now as well.
Spending a little extra money, you get the
Because let's go
whatever
back.
content that they had for the first 4 DLCs. So
That's to see the contrast.
that's worth
as well.
considering
That's the
too.
good side, right?
That's the right side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you can build a base in the deep desert as well, and lots of probably groups will,
Right.
but that gets wiped every week.
We're
There
at
we
the
go.
Harkonnen base now.
Yeah, there is.
Cool. Now we have
There
come
is.
outside the Harkonnen base.
I don't think they've given us
Yeah,
all the
so it's
details
just
on
gonna start
exactly
off,
what's involved, because you have to
with
bring down the
interior here.
shield.
So I built
It sounds
some nice
like,
rooms.
and they've hinted that that if you look at the way they do that kind of thing in the movies, it'll have something to do with that.
You
I'm
need
actually
space for that
expecting
one.
some kind of atomics,
Quite a few
but I guess we'll see
stories
how it
Yes.
goes.
Yeah, you need space for that one.
The base rating will
But,
be a thing in
but
the
yeah,
deep
you can
desert.
see we're inside the Harkonnen structure. We're going to see it from the outside also. And we can take a look at the unique Harkonnen decorations. So, for example, straight ahead here, I have a little bedroom. You can see bed, and the style is very different.
Very dark.
Harkonnen
Yes.
stuff's pretty
It
cool
is.
too.
But it has a lot of unique details.
More rounder shapes.
It's just
as
more
well.
organic,
Yeah,
like
much
while
more.
the Atreides one is very
Yeah.
like military. and, like,
Organic is a
basically-
strange way to me to
It's a little
describe all
office
of that
here. And on
finned
the
metal
left,
stuff, but
put in a
it's
few more
definitely
lights with,
distinctive.
holograms and like a dining area here. So you see, it has a fully fledged set of decorations. I think you have to, you have to align with the faction to unlock these, and then you purchase them from their quartermasters, right, Leo?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
You have
So, yeah.
to work your way up the
You can
ranks.
take a quick trip outside. You can, Camille here, he has a Harkonnen ornithopter.
Oh, my favorite.
So
That's a nice looking one.
I love that so much
Yeah.
because it actually looks like a dragonfly.
They are
It
very
actually looks
distinctive.
Like,
Yeah.
An insect. It's
And-
so interesting.
You get that in the same way, right?
Yes.
Progressing through the ranks and
Yes.
unlocking it.
Exactly.
yeah. So here you can see
Yeah.
the base.
You know what?
You
And
have a ground section.
until
and
I
then
know what the
as you
third
go up,
faction is, I'm going to be
up
very
all the way,
hesitant
so
about
built
declaring for
basements,
anybody,
but they're all
right?
connected. If you keep to the same grid, you can connect all
Because
the
if it
big
isn't a
areas and-
faction I
So
don't
this
want
is
to
just-
wind up
it's a
on,
tip to- if
then
you're
I
building,
want to
just
go
keep on the
declare
same
with
grid,
either
keep
them or
everything
Hargo
connected,
first,
they all match
so
up.
they can eventually
You can
wind
see
up
the
as Atreides.
round pieces here.
But I'm gonna want all the
Harkonnen,
building
those
stuff, so-
Decorated, those big heads are really awesome.
But we'll see
And the
how
gate with,
soon that
each
happens.
face. You can see there.
In
this
some
is an
ways, I
amazing
do very
looking
much
base.
like the
It is, though,
Harkonnen.
like
The,
the
first time I saw it, I could
the
not
dark
believe it.
black
Yeah,
stuff
but
does
also
speak to me
it's
a
so much
little
bigger than
bit,
it looks from
but
here because
Yeah.
you're like really outside in the
it doesn't
ornithopter,
look
and
like it belongs
actually
in the desert.
Yeah.
really massive. It's super massive.
But this
Alien
shows you
movies,
can
yeah,
really
no, I agree. I
prepare,
feel
find a
like
cool place, start building,
They use
and
some of the
especially
same
if you get into building,
influence
if you get a bit-
with Giger, from Giger, right? Or Geiger. I'm actually not sure how it's properly pronounced, but the guy that designed the all the stuff from the Alien movies back in the 80s. And it's the same kind of influence that we got to see in the Chronicles of Riddick from the Necromongers, right? I can definitely see a relationship there. Similar vibe, particularly with all the fins and the curves and all of that. It definitely feels that way. It's pretty cool. I would like to see it in a place where I didn't feel like it was totally out of place, right? Because the desert tends to be very light and sandy. And if there was a darker area, I'd be more inclined to drop the Harkonnen stuff in there somewheres. The interior stuff looks pretty cool, though. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll definitely be playing with the base building because I really enjoy building, period. But I've not played a lot of these builder survival games. So we will be scratching that itch hard with Dune for sure.
bit, experienced, you can do this in not too long.
Yeah.
Like, if you have the
Yeah.
resources.
I agree.
can
It kind
do
of has
this
that
in
Arabic
maybe a day,
ornate.
and maybe a little bit more, but you
Yeah.
can build it quite quickly.
And it's really
Well, you're very
tailored here.
experienced as well. Yeah.
I have built. It has helped building, dozens of cities in Conan Exiles.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's still, it's a thrill always to build in Dune Awakening, I think.
Talking about creativity, we have actually done a call to action in our internal beta, and we asked everyone really, we asked everyone in the beta to send us their builds, their buildings. So
I would be
we're
curious
gonna
to
do a
see what
contest
players
now
build.
Where
right?
Twitch chat, unfortunately, our bot is not working on YouTube for whatever reason. We apologize for that, but Twitch can vote. We will show you. We picked 5 of our favorites that were submitted, and we will let you vote in chat. The first prize will get a Ultimate Edition for Dune Awakening, and the 4 runner-ups will all get a Deluxe Edition.
Das Wheelie. I don't know if you're still over there on YouTube, but it just occurred to me that your whole name, right? Das Wheelie Cool. Like, that's really cool.
Yes.
I'm slow on the uptake there. Sorry,
So
brother.
that's
There we go.
number A. So,
There we go.
so now we go. Now we have it. So if you want to vote, you do !A.
I mean, that's
B,
definitely very
C,
Harkonnen.
D, or E.
I think
in chat.
it's pretty cool
And then you
in
vote
its
for that
own way.
specific
It's just,
building.
man,
But
it
obviously,
looks so weird in the
wait
desert,
until we see all
which
of
is
them.
probably kind of
And
the
then,
intent, right?
start
The
voting.
We
Harkonnens
have a
want
Harkonnen
to
style base.
stamp
And it's huge.
Dune and
Yeah.
say, nope, this is
So
ours.
you can see the round shapes. It's
This is amazing.
I
Just
captured-
this view is
That
really
is very
captured this
cool.
video yesterday, and there's lots of cool bases here, and they're really big. And just a thing to point out here, the servers are so full of bases. You see them everywhere basically. So it's really awesome to see how much people are building.
Also,
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that we have actually mostly judged
Yeah,
by
this is true.
the look from the outside, plus also accessibility, how it will kind of work in the setup and everything, how it was built in the terrain, because
top
we
character,
didn't
yeah.
really
Yeah.
have as much.
That's kind of the
what-
nature of
what
the
is it
beast,
called?
like you said, with pre-building.
we
We'll see how it
didn't,
goes. But I
Focus on the
see what he
focus
was
that
just
much
saying,
into
though,
here.
about the beta servers, about how there's bases everywhere. That's kind of the only lingering concern that I have about aesthetics, right? Is like, how many people can be on a siege, right? We know there can only be 40 people on a siege, on a Haga Basin / siege at a time. But how many are actually going to be in that Haga Basin when we're not considering the queues? Is it 100? Is it 200? Is it 300? We know that the deep desert caps at 300 concurrently. So even if we say, 100 or 200 or 300, it's like, that many people building in the same Haga Basin is going to be a lot of bases. So I'm, ideally I'd like to have a base that's someplace useful, but isn't in the middle of a crowd of bases, right? So I'm kind of wondering how that's going to shape up in the long run. And of course, the good news is that you can copy your blueprint, which does not copy your placeables, however, and move your base if you need to, right? You can abandon it or destroy it and then build someplace else. But I don't know. We're going to have to see how that goes. Because part of that is, like I said, my first MMO was Ultima Online, where you had physical housing placed. And when you ran out of space, you ran out of space. And it really was. It was any place there could be a house, there was a house. It was very difficult to find a place to build. You could, and if I was only interested in the PvE experience, that would probably be the way that I would go, right? If I was just looking for a single-player Dune, single-player Dune, in quotes, because it's not, but it would kind of feel that way. But, yeah, we'll see how it goes. It may not be a big deal at all. Maybe there just won't be enough people that are staying active in a given area and that the basis will degrade. The beta is obviously a special circumstance. People are excited to be in the game as it develops and all of that. So it may be worrying about nothing.
because not everyone had access to those. So we apologize for that in advance, and we definitely have more opportunities down the line. So here
That
we
looks
have
kind of cool. I like the way
another
it's all
Yeah, and
built into the
special
cliff,
being
sort of,
built along
on into.
wall, similar to what I did
That's
for
very
the
neat.
3D space. You can get like a really nice view, like overhanging the edge, and yeah, it's pretty big also this, and you can see the unique 3D pieces. It's really cool to see how creative the players are, and
Absolutely.
And as you know,
Wow, that's pretty cool
after
too.
launch, we'll just see more and more of it.
Also this one,
Yeah.
a
That's a great
fantastic
looking one.
point.
Yeah.
A fantastic point as well to choose for your building because it has such an amazing view from up there.
Yeah. And this
It's
is showing how you can use even the
beautiful.
angular pieces to make a bit more organic shapes on a larger scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which they clearly have done here.
In this space, they've actually combined a little bit of Harkonnen with Atreides.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, which is possible if you.
Yeah, I see the
Betray
dark
wall.
walls in
Yeah.
the hole there.
But yeah, this is built in the Udam, so it's a very creative region there. Oh,
Also this one, obviously maybe hard to tell which faction this is for.
Yeah.
Just servers of
the
their
eagle
kind,
there is
right?
Quite
It's a
stunning,
little
I
bit of a
think.
giveaway. Yeah.
Yeah.
regarding-
Yeah, you could. It'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see
It's very cool.
It's cool. This one.
what'll
has a
happen with the
brilliant
private
cover also,
servers in the
this
deep
is,
desert. I
so
will be
this is,
interested to hear people
capture here
talk about
going
it.
up, showing off a little bit here.
We see that a little
Some
bit.
great balconies here too.
Yeah.
I
It's
do
just a
believe that
really
Funcom will
great,
get it sorted,
usage of the
though, which
space
is
as well.
a good way to
And do you have
feel
another Harkonnen?
about the developer,
Have a
right?
huge
Because they seem to
garage
be
there,
really
towards
on
the end
point
as
with
well.
this stuff so
Nice
far.
orthopters in
Yeah.
there.
That's
It's like
great.
you can actually fit the carrier into that one.
This is built in the very corner of the shield wall, and there you can see a really nice interior there.
That's pretty cool.
So, it's a huge base. The tower is staggeringly tall.
Oh yeah.
And
Yes,
this is-
as opposed to
remember, if you
another
just
developer.
increase your
Like I was saying
base,
earlier,
the land
The
size
vibe
vertically,
that you
can
get from
keep on
Funcom
building.
is for soon TM is
So,
totally
as I
different
mentioned,
than
we
the
have
vibe
actually
from maybe
chosen
another developer.
5 that we showed you now, but we also want to show you some of the honorable mentions that we really liked as well, but they didn't make it into
Yeah,
the top 5.
Right, because I mean, if you change
This is
worlds
fantastic as well.
from a private server to a public one, you got to start over.
Yeah.
It's a
Wasn't
pineapple.
there like there was a little thing that I think Ignacio wanted to put
That's a
on
little
this, it's like,
crazy.
is this the
But, you know,
there we
hey.
go. Favorite
There we go.
pizza topping? It's okay.
That's great.
Perfect. Favorite pizza topping? There is no discussion.
Oh, look at
Pineapple
that.
That's
This is
pretty
really
strange.
cool.
Certainly
Very
unique.
creative.
It's built with Atreides pillar foundations to make this sort of lattice work here.
I
It's
love
very
that.
creative.
I love that.
That
a
is
lot.
There's a bit of a
interesting.
cage feeling
Yeah,
to it.
it shows you
Yeah.
can just go nuts if you want to.
And this one, of
Yes.
course.
Oh wow.
Like the scorpion, yes.
I appreciate the effort there. I don't really like it, but
It's really
but it's kind of cool that you can
And
do that.
That's like the beta testers. Imagine once the game releases and we have like,
The crab
That's
claws.
incredible.
I don't know how people play a game, but it's like, I just can't wait to see what players will create. I mean, this is just,
This one I hear is a dedicated toilet.
that's a toilet!
Yes. So I did take a photo of myself there.
It's an outhouse.
That's amazing.
So
That's
Love it.
nice for the passer.
Oh God, it's the
Yes.
worm.
And then a little homage
Shai
to
Hulud.
Shai Hulud, obviously. Also absolutely fantastic, so creative.
yeah, it's really cool.
After being eaten too many times.
Yeah, I know. It's
Please
just
not
like,
again. I'll build a statue.
It's like a,
That's funny.
a prayer thing. It's
Yeah.
like, if I'm... All right, so we are closing the poll in a few seconds, and it seems we have a clear winner, actually. Yeah, so it looks like...
Let's see.
Do we have the
He was, I
results?
think he was
I wonder who it is.
Nice.
46%.
Soon
for
TM, next
option
morning patch fixed it. That's
C. Can we
fantastic,
show that
man.
again,
Oh
maybe?
wow.
That's very
a pineapple.
gratifying to feel like, yes, they're paying
Yes,
attention to the
yes,
community.
Built in Udam, this
There
one.
we
we
go.
go.
Yes.
Congratulations
Nice.
to
Nice.
see
Same thing with
who
copy staying
won
satisfactory.
really
Yeah,
good.
excellent.
Ultimate edition of Dune Awakening, and everyone
Very
else
cool.
In those top 5, like the 4 runner-ups, will get a deluxe edition as well. So thank you so much. And also we have a surprise for the honorable mentions. They will all get a standard edition as well. Plus, a little surprise
So this
for
is the one
everyone
that
in the beta
won.
who has submitted a build who
They were
didn't
all
make it
cool.
into the stream. We have a little surprise for you as well. More on that in the Discord, though. There will be a message for you later.
A small comment on the winner there. It was a lot of decorated interiors also, so
Yes.
that base had, the builder had really put effort in here.
Yes, I'm actually, I mean, obviously, I'm a little bit sad that we couldn't put more weight on interior design, but it was just not fair to the ones who didn't have
Definitely in
those
their own
unlocked.
division. Yeah, they are.
So we couldn't really do that. Again, as I mentioned, you'll have more opportunities.
And I mean, in fairness, that's
but
kind of everything
some
with
the interior
CIG and
designs
Star
that we
Citizen,
saw
right? Is it's
in
all
your
still a
submissions
work
are
in
absolutely
progress.
mind-blowing.
Everything
And
seems to be,
maybe,
you know, for
we will
a
probably
company
have-
that
I will
claimed to
soon-
be
we will have a
using
post
an
sometime
agile
down the line
development
where we show
model.
those,
They
believe
seem
more nice
very
selections
slow
of the
moving over
interior
the last
design. I
couple
think
of
that would
years.
be very cool.
They seem to be more responsive early
I
on,
think,
but it's gotten
we can
slower
wrap
and
up
slower
the
and
building
slower and
segment
slower,
here,
and
Leo,
it's all the
thank you
wrong
so very
momentum.
much for being
So
here
hopefully
and
they
talk
can
to
break
us
through that
about,
and get back to
building.
being
And
more
we are going
reactive
into
to the
next
community.
segment, which is story and narrative, and for
They're
that
not
we
doing it
actually
right
gonna
now.
Watch another trailer first.
The tech debt is, yes, exactly. It's a huge problem. Huge problem. It's exactly it. You're not wrong, Lions. We
So
couldn't
then,
replicate that in our internal testing.
You're not quite dead.
Great plots are afoot in the Imperium. And the currents of intrigue run deeply. You will go to Arrakis as our agent. You have one task. Find the Fremen. Wake the sleeper.
You were sighted fleeing the scene of a terrible crash. Who are you?
You've heard the expression, the spice must flow. I am the man who ensures that it continues to do so.
Dude's got such a fantastic voice. And for a villain.
I dreamed of you. Burst in fire. Twin comets in the sky. The seer of lies. I am terrified of what happens when you awaken.
I really like what they've done aesthetically with most everything.
You can complete the mission.
Every person carries their past with them. Who are you?
That's grandfather right there, man. That's the big one. CD reminds me of Rockstar. Both companies moved most devs onto another project. Yeah, Squadron 42, GTA 6, right? And sometimes they do make a bug worse rather than fix it. And if they do fix something, then they add 2 more bugs to the equation.
And welcome back.
And
after
I
this
would say I was
fantastic
conservative.
trailer. It's one of my favorite
Super
trailers
creates 10
because
new
I
ones.
am very much interested in
Yeah.
the story and cinematics as well, and I'm very excited to have two guests
Perfect
here
worm
now
sighting.
with me
Decides to go
talk
fishing.
about just that. So first of all, we have Leah Talbot, Associate Lead Narrative Designer. Leah, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, sure. Hello, I'm Leah Talbot. So I've been working at Funcom for about 2 years now. And yeah, before that, I worked for...
So she's the new blood.
Ubisoft, same, in narrative. But yeah, this is behind me now. I'm very happy to be working on Dune.
Oh, we're happy to have you. Stole you away. Very happy to have you. And then also we have Niels Ryborg here, who is a producer for character narrative and cinematics as well. So he has lots to talk to us about as well. Niels?
Oh,
A little bit of everything. Hello.
that sounds pretty painful, Elise. Yeah, hopefully they will learn from that.
Something like that.
Probably.
Hard to keep track.
She is tiny. You're not wrong, Glitch.
For this, I worked at Paradox Interactive, also stolen away by the greedy Norwegians.
Yeah, those kinds of stories are always super scary, Elise. That's actually, that kind of stuff is why I couldn't stay invested at all
Of course, we also have to talk
in anything
about
from Rockstar. They may be a little more responsive, but
the
there's
alternative
definitely so much more reporting of hacking and cheating.
Edge to walk is a bit of a balance for us, of course, because we want to talk about story and narrative, but also we don't want to spoil anything. That would be
wiping out users' chests.
But
oh,
talk to us about the alternate timeline.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, that would suck.
If you haven't seen some of the cinematics yet,
did they roll back at all or anything?
You will basically be exploring the universe of Dune as you already know it. However, as opposed to the story of the books or the movies.
No rollbacks, as far as I know. That's terrible. Yeah, that kind of thing could definitely drive me from a game too. That would be awful.
Is a bit different because of one big.
A little bit.
Just a tad.
Just a little bit. A little bit different.
Oh, yes, a little bit different because of one major event, one choice that Jessica made to bear a daughter instead of.
This is super interesting to me, the alternate timeline thing. I like it.
There's no Paul in this timeline of ours. So this, in turn, allowed Jessica to be rewarded with training as a truth-sayer by the Bene Gesserit, the order to which she belongs. And this knowledge has allowed her to see through Dr. Yue's deception. And this is how the Atreides were warned ahead of time of what was going to happen. And they managed to survive the battle of Arrakis. So in our timeline, Duke Leto is alive, the Atreides are still around, and the Harkonnen as well, because they are not giving up on Arrakis. They are very set on claiming the planet back. And this is basically where we start up in the game. We are...
Yeah, we'll have to see how the PvP plays out, especially in the deep desert. But even in the wrecks beyond the first one, which are PvP in the PvE zone,
a very long conflict,
how much of it will be actual fighting versus just running away and trying to avoid each other?
That you already know, some of them are still alive.
Yeah,
like,
I was really glad to see the planetology class as well, right?
Of the story.
Minor spoiler.
I am really excited just for the PvE content, right? I'm not anti-PvP at all, but and I have a group of people that I'm going to be playing with at least as we get started. So I'll be that'll be fun, I think.
You can comment on that.
But I could spend a lot of hours
really everything with this
just exploring and building.
It's built around the idea that we need to get some kind of player agency into the game, right? So people familiar with the books or with the movies know that Paul, inevitably becomes the Kwisatz Haderach. He gains the ability to see the future as it's going to unfold. And for people who are fans of the later books, they know how he also kind of gets trapped in the future. He cannot fully change it. He simply
absolutely true.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, in any video game, it should be a little bit more about the
one with all the PvE skills is the one that'll be reaping the most benefit from the PvP resource area.
It would kind of suck if all the decisions that you go in and try and make.
So it will be interesting.
Don't really amount to anything because everything is already predetermined, right? So getting rid of Paul gives us the ability to have a story that is actually more dynamic. Suddenly, who you ally yourself with and the people you choose to help or not to help, it can all kind of have an actual real impact on the story, right? And it's been really interesting because it's also kind of changed how we work with the just with the IP holders, for instance, right? So we work with the Herbert estate, of course, to kind of go through everything story related, make sure everything's signed off and happy. But our conversations, due to this choice, become much more frequently about what are the natural consequences of the world that's been created from Paul not existing.
Detect the most dense spice locations is going to be super important. But all the extra, gathering extra, using less fuel, etc.
Really exciting way of working with an IP.
It's also nice that we got that stamp of approval from the Herberts as well, right? So not people got to say well, did it just they just did whatever they wanted, which is not the case really, because we did kind of throw it back as well, and there is reasons for that change that are very important for the game as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting, right? To kind of get in and delve into the world where, like Leia was mentioning, right? Like we've got characters like Peter DeVries or Duncan Idaho who are still around. You know, they're not dead. Spoiler. In our version of the game, and so you get the opportunity to potentially meet and talk to some of them.
Also, talking about meeting people that you know, you do not necessarily have to know the Dune universe, right? Like you can still jump into the game and it will still be interesting.
Yes.
Punishing the cheater exploiter is only part of the equation there, though, right? I do think that it's important that you make sure you can prove who it is, but you need to be able to respond and correct the situation as well.
Frank's books in particular, but for the whole, to the whole canon in general.
Yeah, it seems like they should have been able to assess that they were cheating.
Only watched the movie when it came out
relatively quickly.
This is a game that they can perfectly pick up, no problem. We
hopefully the whole thing was a learning experience for them, though, and it won't happen again.
Obviously, when they become relevant. Otherwise, the player will just get to explore the world and learn about all those things by themselves. And so they shouldn't be scared of playing this game.
Exactly.
They will be welcomed with open arms.
So we can say that we have actually, especially for the survival game genre, which we're not only survival game, but for the survival game genre, we have a very important and really laid out and thought through story, including like cinematics and full voiceovers and everything. So do you have to play through the story, or I'm pretty sure people will?
So like most game, we have an introduction, which is basically the main story, telling you how to play the game. Basically a big tutorial teaching you how to survive on Arrakis. You will need some guidance, let me tell you. This is not an easy task. And the main story is there in the beginning to guide you a little bit and help you get your bearings in this very hostile world. But then past a certain point, when you've acquired all the schematics that you need, you basically don't have to follow the main story if this is not your thing, if you are just a hardcore survival player. Yeah, I agree, obviously. I think you absolutely should.
I can't imagine playing a game like this and not playing through the story, but I can understand the different focus from other players. That might be a very interesting way to go, Elise, in one of the PvP pockets.
Very interesting to play through the story. But it's nice
to get a taste of the deep desert.
Because if you're not that interested in story-driven,
and yeah, you should be able to get more loot from the chests from near the shipwrecks and all of that too.
I'm not interested in, but again, do it. Like really, you will regret it if you don't. Just let me put that out there. But anyway, talking about main story, are there other narrative or story elements that you can experience in the game?
Yes, of course.
As if I didn't know the answer.
No, I mean, exactly. But like, of course, we're making a survival game. It's not necessarily a genre that is like super focused on storytelling normally, but we're also working with the Dune IP. And it would be such a waste not to make full use of it, right? Like 100%. This is a very personal and political and philosophical IP. And,
there's a lot of approaches that they can take. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of story stuff over time.
Both
in DLC.
Choices, and the story choices, right? So like Leia was already mentioning, part of the way we tutorialize you into kind of how to survive on Arrakis, it's kind of driven both through gameplay and story kind of intermingling. You need to do a bit of story in order to get to the game. You need to do a bit of game to get into the story, right? And we continue kind of with this philosophy for most things. Like survival is not something that you do entirely on your own. Humans have never really done that, right? And so other people will be involved, other characters. And the second you have characters involved, drama. Stories kind of naturally unfold. One of the things, for instance, story-wise, that you can get into is, at the start of the game, you pick what your background is. Where are you from? Who are you? Who was your mentor? Right? who your mentor is decides what your starting ability is.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible.
Unlike certain MMOs, we're not really class-based. You're not.
And I kind of think that you should have to do the story.
You have the ability
right?
to learn really anything from,
even if it's just the main story, so that everybody has got some kind of guidance as to what's going on in the world.
Kind of the weirding ways of the Bene Gesserit, or kind of how to be a sword master, or anything of that kind. If you're familiar with the IP, you'll know like these are skills that are difficult to acquire. That takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. If you want to learn them, you're going to need a teacher, a trainer. And if you want someone to invest that kind of time in you, you need to convince them that you're worth their time, right? So we've got storylines revolving around, Bene Gesserit, sword masters, mentats, and so on, existing on Arrakis that you need to track down, find, convince.
I want to absorb the story as well, although there are certain things that I will be super impatient for.
Maybe they'll help you out.
I mean, I got to see,
side quests
most of the first two zones,
kind of blown away,
so I'm going to tend to push there a little bit more.
Some of you might know who saw the combat stream. I love Swordmaster, and when I had to go out and
I'm
actually
not in too big a hurry.
work on getting
just want to
kind of
enjoy it all,
up, so to speak, with the advanced Swordmaster, I was surprised. I was like fully voiced in a
oh, that's cool.
So that was
it's interesting
really cool.
to come into it without any preconceptions.
Cinematics or so, but I thought that was very cool. I have to say, like again, I was very surprised about that specifically.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we're kind of
I wonder how much of the community will be in your abode, right? With no book, no movie.
Going to be done with some of these characters just with launch. You will see some of these becoming a recurring cast over the future as well.
Exciting. So, Leah, some other things that we can expect, story and narrative-wise.
Yeah, I mean, it's still an open world game. So as such, it doesn't just have the main story. It has, as Niels mentioned, a lot of different content, side quests, people you meet, factions you'll encounter. This is a world that is in turmoil, that is always off balance. There is no like big power keeping all of these people in order, so there's a bit of a power vacuum. So
I think that's a double-bladed sword, at least, because you're right.
With a lot of content
the other media would spoil some of the fresh experience, but I wonder about the Easter eggs that you might not really pick up on.
We have a bunch of different channels playing Atreides or Harkonnen propaganda, and those are very fun to listen to while you're.
See, I didn't play Conan.
Surviving,
I watched some videos, and the combat seems a little bit
well, at least you'll be
chaotic and janky to me. But Dune has got its jank too. I'll be interested to see how polished it gets over time.
Discussed, of course, the
but the shields and the suspensor belts and lots of ranged weapons does seem like it would really shake up the vibe compared to what I see in Conan.
5 Days at Carthage, which is also exciting because it actually tells you a little bit about the background of the world as well.
Absolutely, yeah. No, so I mean, as with any developer of any game, right? Like we're very passionate about the stories and the lore that we built up. But of course, not everybody's interested in going around and reading every little text snippet that you put into the game. At some point, it becomes a bit tedious. We understand that as well, right? And 5 Days of Carthage, fun little radio play on the Harvester Guild radio, is a kind of a fun way of helping introduce a little bit of that backstory, right? So, like we were mentioning before, this is a game, this is a world where the Atreides and the Harkonnen are in an active conflict. Now, people familiar with the map of Arrakis know that Carthage, which is the Harkonnen kind of stronghold, and Arrakis, which is where the Atreides are based out of, they're way too close together for these conflicts to kind of really feel good.
I mean, there's only so much you can do in a not tab-targeted, reactive gameplay while providing as much freedom as possible.
Destroyed. They're building a new Carthage a bit further away, which is really cool. And there's, of course, a bunch of story explaining how this all happened. And with 5 Days of Carthage, you get the officially approved by the
It's the Shield Maiden, my wife, letting me know there's a
what happened.
delivery on the
Officially
porch there. I'll have to grab that in a sec.
Might or might not be.
Well, I wouldn't comment on that. That would be spoiler territory.
Don't get any soda cards my way. Yeah, don't send the soda cards my way. But so one thing that I personally think is very exciting. So it also goes
Information
a little bit into
overload, it
the
is a little
trailer
bit.
because when I first heard some of the segments for some of the cinematics of one of the characters that was also featured in the trailer, I was like, I know that voice. I know that voice. I knew it because I played. Oh, I'm actually just touching my microphone. Apologies to the viewers. I recognized immediately that's Reinhardt from Overwatch. And then I saw also like when we actually released the story trailer, there were so many comments on YouTube as well. It's like, that's what is his name, Valkyrian or something.
Bene Gesserit.
The Destiny 2 character Valkyrian, I think, or something. Anyway,
I think that Bene Gesserit Swordmaster combos are going to be super effective.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And besides him, which has an absolutely fantastic voice,
There's some pretty cool
quite a lot
abilities in
of,
there.
Voice actors. I mean, we have a huge cast of amazing voice actors, and there's just a few that, yes, absolutely. And there's a few in there that.
The survival benefits on the Bene Gesserit are pretty extreme, I think. But yeah,
I again remember Symmetra from Overwatch.
I'm going to start with Bene Gesserit myself as well.
She does a really good job.
I want to obviously I want to get all 5 classes, but
overall the whole cast.
Getting started with Bene Gesserit and then Trooper and adding Planetologist into the mix.
A couple of them already.
Kitten.
Then I'll start to feel like I'm really in my groove with the game, just based on the 2 days that I played the beta.
Yeah, I mean, people who played.
But I'm going to want to get the other 2 as quickly as I can as well, the Mentad and the Swordmaster.
Territory, but it's voiced by the wonderful Mara Junot, who. Any session.
Evelyn from League of Legends.
Yes, she does a fantastic job on that one as well.
Yeah.
I think she's been in a couple of different things.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, tons. Like pretty much all those voice actors have a huge. So we are very fortunate and very.
Oh, absolutely.
The passives are give me all the passives, all the passives.
One last one I want to mention though, which is actually. He was part of one of my favorite game series ever, and he voiced one of my favorite game characters ever in Mass Effect. Garrus. Yes.
Renan Keener, he's fantastic. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything.
No, please
but,
don't.
People who are a fan of the Atreides will get very well acquainted with his character.
Yes.
I think someone might be willing to spoil a bit more. I'm looking over at Leia if she wants to.
Yes, because when you come to like one of the first trade posts, you there's a really cool cinematics. I don't want to spoil that either. But there's a very cool.
Yeah, the only limit is how many points that we actually get to spend. Right, like we get
anyway,
200 levels
Leah, talk about
to spend,
a little bit,
and we can blend them pretty much however we want. We just obviously we can't max everything in all class, which I'm glad they did that because that does mean that your choices will add flavor to your character.
And you as a player had to be able to join them if you want. Of course, this is all of this is optional, but still. You can try to tip the scale a little bit in favor of one of these houses, which again are embroiled in this long, exhausting war. It's been 10 years, so we are 10 years after the Battle of Arrakis. That's when we start the game. So it's been quite a long time, and both houses have exhausted a lot of their resources. They are tired.
Yeah, we'll see how it works. And we can actually change, we can swap out abilities that are not on cooldown at any point.
You as a player,
so
will be able to,
it will be interesting to see how that begins to play out.
Sorry. So, well, let's say that the choice doesn't have to be permanent. if you don't want it to be. But
okay, I have to check on something for the
betrayal
Shield Maiden
has
real quick. I'm just going to let this play
I'm going to say about
and
this.
listen,
Yes.
and I'll be
But
back
I
in
think
just a minute
also
here.
Another thing that is
So I'll
probably
put
for
this up
you
here
as
and get my head out of the
narrative
way,
designer, storytellers is
and
very
I'll be
interesting,
back ASAP, guys.
that we do have both factions still on the planet, because it gives you more time to also explore their, you know, what drives them, what are their ambitions, and also maybe that things are not always as black and white as some people might think, right, Niels?
I mean, like Leah was mentioning, right? Like it's been 10 years. They've been going at this for a decade. People familiar with the kind of original books will know that it wasn't just that the House Harkonnen themselves decided that they just wanted to get rid of the Atreides. There were larger forces at play, and that is still the case, kind of in the lead up to our story. I mean, the Emperor kind of didn't really want the Duke around. He was a bit of a threat, right? Now, in our version of the story, the Atreides kind of survived that assault, which puts the Emperor in a very awkward situation, which is why he's kind of forced this war to be allowed, quote unquote, right? It distracts everybody. They're fighting each other. But now the Harkonnen are stuck in a long war. They're exhausting all their resources. And the Atreides, they're kind of forced into a world where, like, hey, I can't just be the honorable kind of white knight all the time. I'm stuck in a decade-long war. Sometimes they're going to make choices that are not as pretty as they would like, and with enough time, reality starts to set in. Like you don't come out of a war unscathed, you'll get to explore a lot of kind of the effects of a long war and kind of how it's affected both of the sides as you get into the early mid parts of the game and then throughout it afterwards. So look forward to it. We put a ton of effort into it, and we're very excited.
Yeah. And maybe it's, as we mentioned, always so black and white in regards to who are the bad guys and who are the good guys. Maybe the things are kind of grey and...
I'll let you guys decide.
Yes, we'll see. Well, I'm still a Harkonnen, always. Anyway, yeah, see, like, high five. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I think that's a good point, because we actually ended with the factions, and we're gonna go soon into our next segment, which is also close to which will also include the Landsrat. So we'll discuss factions again there. But before we do that, Leah, Niels, thank you so much for making time for us and for chatting with me about the story and the narrative. I hope that future players are really excited, and that some of you who might not be that interested in story normally will just still give it a go, because I really do feel it is worth it. It's fun. There is some really cool voice actors. There's some really great cinematics, fully voiced, even in the smaller part, like we just discussed, like the mentor storylines, side quests and things. So there's definitely a lot to look forward to. All right, absolutely. Before we jump into the next segment, however, we will have another quick video for you.
Few survive this world, but those who do awaken. The desert wants you dead, off-worlder. If the sands don't take you, the storms will swallow you whole. But you don't have to walk this path alone. In every danger, there is opportunity. The foundation of something greater. A power waiting to be harnessed. Desert power. Some claim to rule this planet. But Arrakis is yours to explore. To fight for. To conquer. But there are forces beyond even your control. Arrakis, and it will open your mind. This is your path to awakening.
Welcome back. I have now two new guests with me to talk about Exchange and the Landsraad. One of them is Joel Bylos, first time on this stream, never seen before. We did let him out of the doghouse again, so for those of you who wondered. Joel, creative director on Dune Awakening. You want to introduce yourself quickly?
Sure.
For those of you who don't know him.
This week, my name is Al Gaib.
Okay, there you go.
And yeah, I'm the creative director on Dune Awakening, and I've had to change sponsor due to something that happened during the last podcast. Sorry, live stream. So I've switched sponsors now.
All right. So we just balance it out between Coke and Pepsi. All good.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a first timer on the stream, Amar Zouari. Welcome to you as well.
Thank you.
Senior designer. Funcom.
Joel is such a clown.
Yes, I'm Amar, senior designer on Dune Awakening. I mostly work
I love their
on
attitude.
systems such as the Landsraad, what we call hazards, such as quicksand, drum sand, and sandworm.
Sandworm, master of the
Master
worm.
Sandworm. What was you like the godfather of sandworms? No, what was it?
The
Worm
worm
father.
father.
The worm father. Yes, the worm father. There we go. So if you make the acquaintance of one of our worms, you can blame Amar. Well, the whole team really working under him, but
Look at what
he
they
had
did to my
he had a big say in it. So yeah, obviously we do have social mechanics in the game, and there is a way for players
Literally get a bonus to everything that makes the game's grind easier. Exactly. Planetologist is going to be super important.
Things. And one of the social aspects that we kind of modeled a little bit after traditional MMOs is the exchange, which is basically our auction house. Joel, you want to go a little bit more into what that actually looks like?
Sure, I mean, you can probably see it on the screen right now, hopefully.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
I will be curious to see how quickly stuff populates in the exchange.
Beyond your average survival game. Because
being able to buy components to put vehicles and stuff together.
When I say world, I'm talking about our definition of world, which is battle groups in other games. It's kind of a definition where we have a bunch of these sietches, which are the servers, and they all connect to a single world. And within that world, there's a single exchange, which means people are able to sell and buy things off the exchange across these spaces, which means that you can, you know, obviously.
And I am super curious to see
MMOs
how many players will that actually turn into in a world, right? Because you can have up to 300 in the deep desert overall. You can have up to 40 playing in a siege
the advantages that this type of
in a Haga basin at a time.
So you'll be able
but how many sieges will there
craft the
be
buildings, as you saw earlier, save them to
in
the
a world?
that we showed,
you know what I mean?
I think in the earlier part of the,
is it going to be 1,000? Is it 2,000? Is it 5,000 people that will share the market? Is the question that I have here, right? Not all online at the same time, but how many
and obviously fill them in. So
can play on what we would consider a server in a regular game?
Architects, which is something that we've seen as I think a new kind of play style that comes out of these kind of games, these survival, you know, open world crafting games. People who are architects are actually able to make a living, hopefully, by selling really cool designs on the exchange to other players. And of course, we'll have people who make beautiful, artistic things like the scorpion we saw that was really cool and stuff like that.
Whatever the ambient noise is in their stream is kind of
people who are like sweaty PvP raiders who are really like making their honeycomb boxes to put out in the deep desert.
How many players?
You know, this creates some sort of
right because a world, right? A world is what we would traditionally call a shard or a server in another MMORPG, right? We know that you can have up to 300 people in the deep desert at one time, right? And then you can have up to 40 in each Haga basin at a time, but we don't know how many Haga basins will potentially be attached to a given world. right? And then you have to consider, okay, if there's this many hundreds of people online in on a world at a time, how many will actually be the population cap for that Haga Basin? For that world, rather, not for the Haga Basin. Will it be 1,000 players? Will it be 2,000, 5,000 players tied to a world? Because when we're talking about the market, I want to know how big is the population cap for the world's marketplace, because each world has their own market. It's not a global thing, at least if I understand correctly. Right? So like if you're on World 1 versus World 35, they're going to be completely separate markets because you're talking about different players. Private server players doesn't count. Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, that's typical of most MMOs. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I don't think they've told us. I'm just curious, right? Because, I mean, the thing is that the auction house mechanic, the exchange in this case, becomes more or less relevant depending on how many players are in a server. Like, one of the things that I absolutely did not like about Elder Scrolls Online, I think it was Elder Scrolls Online, where the auction house was limited to one guild, right? Now, you could have, however many people you could have in the guild, but it wasn't any kind of a even remotely global auction house. And for me, that's one of the resources that I want to tap, both buying and selling. And I didn't like the way it felt. In ESO, the auction house mechanic sucked, in my opinion, right? So I'm curious to see how this feels, because this game, there will be some people that just really aren't interested in building and creating everything, which to me is unfathomable because it's such a big part of the game. But I get it. Not everybody's into that side. So I'll be curious to see. And yeah, I mean, the planetology stuff is definitely going to be super important for end game vehicles, the carriers and the harvesters, especially, I think. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. It's all very much, of course, part of me is I just want to be in it, but I want to see how it's all gonna shape up.
Economy around this, and that's kind of one of the coolest things about our exchange.
Yeah, I also think it's really cool because, again, if you don't like to build, you can just go there and get something really cool.
Yeah, we'll see how it all
goes. If you want
goes.
something, but you don't want to spend the time to actually design it, so I think this is a very, very cool feature. And there is, of course, other things that you can as well.
So another really interesting sort of dynamic thing that you can put
wherever
on
this character, wherever this character is standing
at
the
we've talked about this a bit. You go and
at the exchange,
and when
the ambient noise is loud.
Print out a sync chart, which is obviously a name from the lore. Print out a sync chart of the area that you've been surveying, and that basically fills in all the resources and all of the things that you've seen on the map.
The sync chart, man. The exploration stuff, I'm super excited for too.
To other players. So it's, for Haga Basin South, the starting region, the areas are fairly set. But of course the Deep Desert resets every week. And there are 81 different zones in the Deep Desert.
I mean, I know that they're going to have to dial it all in depending on the response to the game, right?
We see this as kind of an activity.
Hey, what's up, Bart? Let's go! I am so ready, man.
Dedicated scouts who go out, survey the Deep Desert, try to get as much of the resource information as possible, bring it back and hand it out to their guildmates. But in addition to that, we'd also expect there to be independent contractors, people who go out to the Deep Desert survey and then sell their maps on the exchange. And hopefully you can also get a reputation as being someone who's very thorough, someone who does a good job of the cartography loops of the game. So people start to recognize, okay, this person's a good cartographer. I'm going to buy their maps. They're generally up to date for the week and they're generally in good shape. So hopefully, again, just like the Architect, we want that to be a style of play that people can really lean into. It's the same with cartography. We hope that there are scouts and people who lean into this map-making side of the game.
So
okay, all right. You know what they just showed that I'm now curious about, right? Is we're looking at stuff from the from the exchange. Okay, here's a blueprint for a base that is clearly built with Harkonnen tile set, right? What if I go buy that blueprint, but I don't have the Harkonnen tile set? Can I still set the blueprint and build it with Atreides or with Chom? I wonder how that works.
That there are scouts and people who lean into this map making side of the game.
So also, like, as you just mentioned, Deep Desert is so huge. Even if you're a big guild, you won't have time or the resources to actually really survey everything. And maybe you don't find that spot that has like super saturated resources. And then someone actually goes out. It might be a single player that isn't even like, it might even be a PvE player that might just try to sneak around.
Man, I'm not going to lie, the exploration stuff, I'm going to be torn.
Have the opportunity
right?
to kind of
Tuesday morning, I'm going to want to log in. I'm going to want to survey the entire desert. I just wonder how much time that's actually going to take.
We can also talk about the Explorer, for example. That's also another thing that there's an opportunity for explorers here as well, of course.
Sure, I mean, yeah, so we have the unique schematic system in the game. We've talked about this as well, where players are able to find unique schematics, but they're limited.
Yeah, you can mix and match them, but does it matter which tile set if you're using a blueprint, right? My gut feeling is that Funcom has been so on point with it that I would expect that we'd get a blueprint and we'd be able to choose which tile set we want to build. But then I think about that base that won the contest thing just a little while ago in this video, where they had tiles from both Atreides and Harkonnen in it. And for the flavor of that build, you know, is it going to give me a thing and say, you don't own this tile set, do you want to substitute with Chom? Right? Or will it just not let me place something there and then I have to fill it in myself? So it's just one of those things. I'm like, wait a minute, how are they going to handle that? Guilds are already heavy RP. You failed a question test and got booted for being Harkonnen allied. It will, you know, that's going to be super interesting to me as well, because we've spent so much time playing Star Citizen, and I play a lot of New World, right? Which are, while there are role play elements in the community, they're tiny. They're tiny. New World is the worst for it for me with the games that I've experienced, where it's like there's so much role play potential and just nobody cares. You know, they're ranting and raving about politics or sports or stupid shit that's in the public eye, and it's like everything about the game. It looks so immersive, but as soon as you interact with the community, that's just gone. Right? So I kind of miss the old school days of MMORPGs where everybody kind of sort of at least stayed in the mindset of being in the game. They stayed in the immersion as much as they could, even if they were socializing, right? They may be talking about this, that, and the other, but they would immediately go back to the game content. So if Dune is going to have a little bit more of the vibe of staying in the envelope of the game, even if we're just talking about exploring the deep desert or doing the PvE content versus just everybody constantly off on a tangent ranting about politics, which is the worst, right? Then I'll be happy about that. But it will be interesting to see how it plays out. It's been that kind of a global change in games in general over the last, God, I'm old, 30 years. Yes, right. I mean, it adds flavor to the game, right? I understand if people who are playing the game aren't necessarily role players. I do. It's fine. Not everybody has to be a character in a movie. But the problem that I have is, like in New World, if you run into somebody that has a role play flavor to their attitude, you get all of these child gamers that just want to shit all over that. Right? That's the part that sucks so bad in some communities. You took 2.5 weeks to play? Oh man. Jeez. No, I really can't wait, man. I'm gonna no life the shit out of this game as much as I can at launch. I'm not gonna lie. I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to it. Met people not RPing and end up being really good sports about it. I mean, at least because that's part of the flavor of the game, right? Is people being immersed in the game, and totally you should just enjoy it as an observer. That's my opinion. The people that want to interfere, the people that want to be upset that other people are doing this, those are the people that frankly shouldn't be playing the game. They shouldn't. They should not be playing an MMO. They should be off playing some single player game, or they should be playing some god awful cutthroat Fortnite wannabe, whatever. I don't care. Right. And I know that sounds a little bit like gatekeeping, and I don't really mean you shouldn't play it if you don't want to play it. But God, just shut up. Just shut up. If you don't like what they're doing, move on. Right. It's not like they're in your way. Man, I just don't understand it.
So you can only create the item that you find in the unique schematic one time. So you want to find multiple versions of the schematic in order to save that up and then craft more. So if you go and find a very rare schematic that nobody else has found, you can make a choice. You can either sell the schematic itself on the exchange to another player, which they can then obviously purchase and craft, or you can craft the item yourself and sell that on the exchange. So you also have this choice.
It will be interesting to see which is the more profitable way to do that too.
This very specific rare thing, or whether you want to be.
Do you sell the hot schematic, or do you sell the item
you find on the exchange
with the extra investment of the materials and the time?
Also allows the deep desert is a PvP area, and we know that some people never want to go in a PvP area ever.
Hey Matthew, how you doing? I'm super excited about it too, but it's the day after tomorrow. Tomorrow's just the preload.
So there's hopefully this crossover. And again, going back to the guild layer, we're hoping that
almost.
There are some people. I think guilds will have this multifaceted approach where you have your scouts, your architects.
Man, I cannot wait. I am so hyped.
And your PvPers, right? And PvEers. So people who go out with different tasks, and then they come back and they all work together to create the full stack.
Yes,
and I think guild activities is going to be something we talk about very soon.
Yes, we will. But also, just to mention that again, so that's every archetype basically is kind of important in the big picture, which I think is
See, I met my wife role-playing in Dark Age Camelot back in 2003. That's actually how we met, online.
From anywhere, right? I mean...
And now we've been married 20 years.
Nice lead-in.
I know, I'm trying. That wasn't the best one, though, I admit.
Of course, the exchange is only available in the social hubs, so Harco Village and Arrakis. This is because we want players to deal with a bit of logistics, but we also want players to see other players a lot,
nice,
right? And the Deep Desert is a big, lonely place.
Yeah, no, the preload is tomorrow morning, I think at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Yes.
But
and then 24 hours later, we get to actually hop in on the 5th.
Meet and hang out with people, but
I know, it's like one more day. No, I didn't want to wait one more day. I want to get in, man.
Exchange is a location that pulls you in, and you'll see, we've all had this feeling in MMOs when you go to the auction house and there's 50 people around, and you can understand that this is actually a world with a lot of people in it.
You also have to go there to pay taxes, though, which is kind of like the...
I'm actually glad that they made that choice. Social hubs used to be such a big thing in every game, and now a lot of the time they're just not.
Make money to pay your taxes. There's the other thing.
And it was a way to connect with people.
2 weeks in the beta, and I came back.
All right, Bart, thanks for dropping by, man. 07s.
I had to repair.
Well,
it's my fault.
Well, that's all on you. That is all on you. Also, if you just had the small sub.
Oh God! Unless you're the type of player and person like your cousin that rushes through everything and then spoils it for everyone. No.
I've been in it for a week.
That's the kind of person that deserves to be a little bit beat down with a pool.
That was one of the
noodle.
aspects that players can actually kind of take part in the economy. But more importantly, players can also take part in politics. That brings us to the launch road.
Well, I mean, and I understand a lot of people won't want to spend time there, but the fact that when they're active, there are opportunities to be had there.
Actually fits into the Dune lore.
But we'll see. I think it's better that they have social hubs for the marketplace rather than just anybody can list anything anytime.
Books, right? It's kind of this political body. They have some influence on the policies of the Imperium.
I didn't think I was going to be all that interested in the Landsrod, but the way that they seem to be doing it,
but in our game,
I think it is actually going to be interesting.
To create decrees that then impact the entirety of Arrakis and affect the ongoing war.
At least.
And the way that we've designed this system is that player factions, the Atreides and Harkonnen, are attempting to get votes in the Landsrad so that they can impact the overall structure of this. And so the idea here is just to really create and it is an endgame activity driver is what I call it, right? It's a way of creating a system where people are asked to do activities to help their faction earn votes in the Landsrad. And the Landsrad then has a voting session, and
it's way more interesting than the bingo card in New World. I will say that.
In addition to that, is that the Landsrad takes place across like a series of servers. Just like I mentioned, the Exchange does the same thing. So there's one Landsrad for a world. A world contains multiple servers within it. So it isn't just like a few people competing.
I only got to play the 2 hours in the beta, and I had not played at all before. I had not really been actively following.
Dive into it and show.
So as far as new stuff goes, I'm kind of ignorant.
A few assets here that we can show you.
Somebody over there is pushing buttons too quick.
The Landsrad week. It's a cycle that lasts a week. And to be eligible to participate, players need to...
I know that since the beta, they have talked about certain things being changed. Like, there was a problem with if you were out of stamina and you were being hit melee again and again and again and again and again, you were essentially stamina locked, right? You couldn't do anything. And that meant you were toast as long as they kept left clicking, right? You couldn't do anything because you couldn't regen stamina. They did make a change so that when you're in that circumstance, you will regen stamina slowly now. So you should, after a moment, I don't know how long exactly, you'll have a chance to dodge out and try and break the stam lock thing. So there's a few things that got polished after the open beta. That was the only thing that I remember that was especially notable, but they were talking about tuning some things. Hopefully they're going to address a lot of the desyncy stuff that we saw, because particularly with PvP in the open beta, I had some really awful latency just every once in a while. Most of the time it was pretty playable for me, but occasionally it would spike over 500, which is just... And if you watched people doing the open beta PvP, there was clearly some teleporty, desyncy, janky people not necessarily being where they look like they were. So that's something that they were going to work on as well. So hopefully at launch, on Thursday, we'll see a lot less of that. But as far as new stuff, yeah, unfortunately, I'm a little bit late to the party. It was one of those things, like, I've not been one to play the builder survival games online, and even though I love Dune, I read the book decades ago, and I played Dune 2000 when that was a thing back in the day. I watched all the movies, the miniseries from sci-fi years ago, etc. I'm a fan, right? But it was a builder survival. It's like, no, I don't need a new game. I'm not going to watch. And then some of my friends have gotten more and more hyped about it. And I decided to go ahead and try and get into the beta weekend, and I watched Funcom's live stream and got a code that way and hopped in, and I spent 27 hours over 2 days playing the game, and I'm very excited for it now, but I cannot offer any real insight as to what's changed. Love so many of these games, quite a few of them. Never read the source material. Well, I mean, you don't necessarily have to either, though. That's kind of the beauty, right? Is you get involved in the cinematic interactive experience, and it will be interesting to think, of course it's happening now, obviously, but it used to be there'd be people that are watching a movie about something that was based on a book, and there's lots of people now that would say, I've never read the book, but I really enjoyed the movie, right? 10 years from now, will we get more adaptations like this? Like, Amazon's supposed to be working on a Lord of the Rings game using the same engine they used for New World. How many times will we see people like Dune say, I'm playing the game, but I never read any of the books or watched any of the movies? Well, I mean, that's just in 2 days, 27 hours. I mean, I know people played more, but I'm old, man. I'm 56 years old. More importantly, my wife's a disabled Marine Corps veteran, so I do have to take care of her. I can't no life it completely as much as sometimes I want to. Like Starship Troopers, yes, the books were, I really enjoyed the book, right? But the movie is nothing like the book. Nothing like the book, like at all, right? The Starship Troopers in the book are essentially, you know, you drop them one per fucking square mile or something, because these guys are wearing powered armor with nukes and they're just destroying bugs en masse individually. And clearly that's not what we got in the movie at all, which actually my wife just put it on a couple of days ago, which is, this is how you know you married the right person, by the way, is when she puts the movie on and you don't have to, right? So that was very cool. But yeah, totally different experience, you know, those Starship Troopers, the movies, and then the animated series and whatnot that came out after the fact, right? That's all that kind of military-esque squad. That's not how the book was at all. Thank you very much for the follow, Elise. I appreciate it. Haven't looked that much into things because heard from streamers, but you're super excited. Yeah, I mean, I started, you know, after I got into the beta weekend, I started watching all the videos. It's like, oh, I got to see what's going on. I can't wait to play.
Reveal their kind of goals to you, and there's also depending on which great house that you're actually talking to, so they change.
I like that we got voice content for
so
the
one is, of course, doing chores
for
them,
the contracts and the missions, at least some of them.
There's also other ways, right?
The
that
story.
You can convince them.
You can bribe them, some of them.
Straight out.
Some of them are
Some
not
of them.
bribable. And yeah, that will reveal their requirement for the week. And then
she's one of the House representatives. We met one in Starter Zone 2 at the trading post. I don't remember which house it was.
So they might like you more if you're from a certain background or a certain caste in the universe, and therefore they might provide more information freely.
Faster as well.
Yeah, that's
so you get
cool.
to that faster. And the reason that you should get to that kind of, you should reveal that fast is kind of something that we're going to show after now, so we can actually kind of switch to that and show the board, kind of the lens wrap board. Here we go. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's people that would say, "God, that movie's so bad. Why would you say that?" But you know, if it's something that they're a fan, that you're a fan of, right? If your partner turns it on, that's clearly a shared interest. It tickled the shit out of me when she put it on the other day. She was browsing whatever on the Fire Stick and was like, "Oh, hey," and she put on Starship Troopers, and it literally made me laugh out loud, because it's just one of those things where, you know, you would talk to somebody that was like, "Oh, I put Starship Troopers on," and the wife said, "What is this trash?" And it's like, you might want to reconsider whether you're in the right partnership there. Exactly. Exactly. You know, the one thing that I remember being disappointed about with Starship Troopers when it was brand new in theaters, right, was they played that advertisement, and I don't remember what was the name of the song that was in the trailer, but it was a battle scene in the trailer, and it was this popular music at the time. I absolutely can't think of who it was, but it was somebody big, you know, whether it was, you know, Offspring or somebody like that, right? And we didn't get any of that kind of vibe at all in the movie, in the cinematic experience. And I kind of felt like it was a little bit of a missed opportunity. We have seen more of that, you know, in recent years, where they use, like, you know, in the Thor scene with Led Zeppelin, Immigrant Song. It was just, yes, that was perfect. It was one of those moments in the trailer, and it was like, I kind of was a little bit let down by the cinematic experience, because we never got any of that kind of music in it. But, you know, there's a lot to be said for music that's scored specifically for a movie. It's not really a complaint I have now. It's just one of those things that sticks in my memory about trailers when they throw in music that's not actually part of the movie, that gives me a grr. Made today, it would have been better with live action. Yeah, I do not disagree. I don't disagree. I will be curious to see, because what they're doing a reboot now, right? I forget who it is that's supposed to be doing the movie and is all like, I want to do it loyal to the book and all of that. And it's like, you know what? There's going to be a big mixed reaction to that, because the people who really wanted to see the book reimagined are going to be excited to see that, and maybe they'll love it. Right? And then there'll be all these fans that have watched the movie and the animated series for years, and they'll watch it, assuming that it is loyal to the book, and they'll go, what is this? This is terrible. This is not at all what I was looking for, blah, 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 blah. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. Yes, absolutely. Helldivers 2 was influenced by Starship Troopers, the movie. Absolutely. Yeah. And isn't there a Starship Troopers game in development? I don't know if it got launched or not, but Helldivers kind of stole some of their thunder, and I thought the last I saw it was still in development, which I was kind of interested by, but we'll see, I guess. But anyway.
This is the Landsrad board. How it looks at the start of.
See, this is actually pretty cool to me, the way that they're handling this.
Great houses shown, but you don't know what they require.
That would be a cool cameo.
Once you have reviewed
it would be
the tasks,
for Casper to play that kind of role in the movie, no matter what. That would be a nice nod.
And of course, the earlier you do that, the more time you have as well to actually work on those.
And each square on this board represents a major house of the Landsrad, and these are the representatives that you're looking for in the world.
Yeah. And if you don't manage to reveal, over time they will reveal themselves. And as you can see, there are different things they require of you. Some will require you to harvest resources or craft items such as still suits or.
What I want to see is how much can a single player move towards the 70,000 points required to throw one of these tiles. Right, that's what I'm curious about, because obviously it needs to be a significant investment, because mostly you'll have guilds that'll be biting off big chunks of that 70,000 points. But I am curious to see, you know, how much impact will the solo no-lifers have on the board.
Basically territory that these houses want in the deep desert.
I think an important point to mention is also that you do actually need to not only be...
Yeah, well, that's true.
You don't only need to belong to a faction, you also need to actually be in a guild to be able to participate in this.
Yeah.
As one of those potential
so here we have,
no-lifers.
A few of those. I think we
I'm
can
curious.
Go now further to actually show what your goal is on this bingo card, so to speak.
Yeah. So
boy, the Harkonnens got wrecked on that one.
As the factions complete tasks, they will show up on the board in their color. And this progresses throughout the week.
We need to go back to the previous board if we can, and perfect, and just leave it there for a sec. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is actually from the beta, and you can see that this week Atreides has absolutely crushed Harkonnen. But you can also see here that Harkonnen
Natasha
won last week because they have the active decree. Mm-hmm. But this is where you compete, and towards the end of the week, basically the faction that has the most tasks completed by the end of the week will win. But there's also the possibility of faction winning before that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Tasks, which we call Sysselråd.
Yeah, it's a very nerdy term pulled from the books, but a Sysselrad is basically when a major voting block in the Landsrad works together, and then they basically, so you win. You can win the week by filling.
I read a book. I don't remember the name of the author. I think the name of the book was Otherland, right? And one of the big parts of the story were that people were essentially living in pods, right? Sometimes in absolute shitholes, and living their life in the other land, right? Where sometimes they would do work there and they would be doing gaming stuff there. Virtual reality, when it becomes really, truly intuitively interactive and it's something that people can plug into and widely accessible, particularly when you can go from play to work in that environment, is completely going to change society. I have no doubt of that, right? But that kind of thing it's like, yeah, there are times where it's like, you know what, just plug me in, hook me up, and in a week I'll be back out maybe. Yeah.
Out a line. You can block that by, of course, taking votes away. So you can prevent an early victory in the Landsrad by jumping in and completing tasks in a line to prevent other people from doing it. Yeah, it's kind of, it's supposed to lead to players being tactical in their approach to how they do this, guilds being tactical in how they work together and against each other in this.
Yeah, very Matrix-like.
And in this case, it's also really fun to talk to another guild and like work together to make sure, especially when it comes to, you know, that specific, actually, I'm taking that a little bit too early when it comes to decrees afterwards as well. So if you really don't want one, but anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So yeah, so basically it's a row of either diagonally or vertically or horizontally. If you have all those 5, you actually win a sizzle rat, and
then it ends early. But if you don't manage the row,
yeah, then it is the most tasks completed. But I think this is quite interesting because it's not just a battle of effort here or anything. It's also the meta battle of blocking off the other
strategy.
faction.
There's kind of tactics and strategy involved as well, and not only PvP. As we heard, there's like, you can really contribute to this no matter what kind of player you are. If you're a crafter, if you're an explorer, there's something for you to do as well to help your faction.
Oh man, there are times when it's far too easy to believe that we're living in a simulation. My wife and I joke all the time. It's like, you know what? Next playthrough, I'm choosing easy mode. This hard mode shit is for the birds. I don't know why I decided that I needed to play it in a challenging frame, but it sucks. Come on, man.
The placement of the guilds as well, which gets us into rewards. What are some of the rewards that you get from actually participating in this?
Yeah, the main reward that players are fighting over are the decrees.
I was curious about this exclusive tool import rights thing. By decree of the Landsrad Council, under the seal of His Imperial Majesty, the House Maros Trade Consortium has been authorized to visit Arrakis. Such goods as are traded during this period are not considered to be contraband and may be used freely in perpetuity. I wonder what kind of tools that's actually going to let us buy. All of these decrees are kind of interesting. To facilitate the recycling and refinement of raw materials during this period, Chome refineries registered to the Great House have had their production speed increased and repair costs reduced. Interesting. Yeah, repair costs and refining times are reduced by 75%. All times are dropped and all items, yeah, the PvP one, right? The PvP one here. All items are dropped and can be looted by anyone when defeated in the deep desert. This one's going to be interesting. I mean, that'll be, of course, my head's in the way. But this will be the hardcore group that'll be like, oh, no, I want to loot everything from everybody. That one's going to be interesting to see. I would imagine that the tool vendor will be one of those that people would choose to check out early in the world's life, whereas something like this would probably be more likely to be a hot choice later on. You can hit that, let us know. And I do wonder how many types of decrees are there, because what they gave me the impression in the number 4 live stream, which is the last one after this one, is that there are several decrees, and there are just 3 that are going to pop up in any given week. So that'll be interesting to see as well.
They are significantly powerful, and they alter the rules of the game, so to speak. So we have decrees such as access to vendors that provide some of the most powerful items in the game. That includes weapons, armors, tools, vehicles. It can be.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Lions. That's rough.
For the whole faction for the whole week. or even some more.
Lost too many of the fur babies over the decades of myself. It's painful.
Items are dropped in the deep desert, basically making it a full.
The big thing that's definitely hammering me in this playthrough right now is my son with his cancer. It's like, oh God, man.
And the mechanics for a whole world and all the servers.
Oh, there's more
that are part of that world.
Okay, here's one. Ranged weapon damage increased by 33%. That's another one. I believe that I've seen one that says melee damage increased by 33%. So those are interesting too. Never had a dog since we had to put down 15 years. Stayed with him through the whole process. Never again. Yeah, it is really rough. It is. And I totally understand that. For me, in general, it comes along within a year that I'm just like, okay, I need another friend like that. I need another family member like that, right? Because, I mean, to me, that's pets. Pets are part of the family, right? We've got Loki right now, who's an Australian Shepherd, and Ginger, who is a Chihuahua. She's a little deer-headed Chihuahua, who, when we got her, she seemed fine. She was a little nervous. Where we adopted her from was a little bit. But unfortunately, a couple of weeks in, she started having seizures, and those have passed. They're not uncommon for Chihuahuas. She hasn't had any seizures in a while, but it definitely left an impact on her. She's definitely a special needs pup. Yeah, that is super rough. Yeah, that stuff is hard. But I mean, you know, life just isn't life if you don't have pets. That's my opinion. You know what I mean? It is like having kids, except that, to be perfectly honest, most of the animals are they are more open and loving and unconditionally so than people tend to be, because we are so fickle. Humans are so fickle. We just are. Yeah, Golden Labs are kind of known for the hip thing. But all the breeds tend to have something going on. 15 and a half years old, knew it was coming sooner. Yeah, you just can't. You just can't. We lost a Coco, which was the first pet that my wife and I adopted. She was a Chorky, a Chihuahua Yorkie mix. So she was our baby. She was the first one that we raised from essentially birth. We did get her from somebody who bred puppies, but she was adorable. She was fantastic, and she was when, let's see, what is 2000 and I think it was the end of 2006. It might have been the end of 2007, and she passed in 22. So she was 15 years old. And it was pretty quick too, which is the part that is so hard at times, right? She was doing okay, and then suddenly she wasn't, and we took her to the vet, and that went on for weeks, and eventually that was just it. It's rough, but I mean, 2 cats, 2 dogs, and then a 3rd cat this last year, just about a couple of months ago. Freya, who was relatively young. I really still don't know exactly what happened with her, unfortunately, but it sucks. Wrap his front legs around your waist and his head. Yeah, dogs are awesome. I like cats too, don't get me wrong, but dogs have got that, they've got that special something, man. I love them. Yeah, but I mean, you know, they deserve it, don't they? They deserve the extra attention.
Impact you can have on how the game is played for like a whole week.
Yep.
Which is very exciting. But there's more awards than.
Oh wow, there's more.
A few more decrees here as well. And again,
Landsred armor vendor, crafting costs reduced by 25%. Melee weapon damage up by 33%. This is cool.
important to mention that there's not just PvP decrees that you can do. Like if you can be, we actually discussed that earlier. If you can be like, if you want to be a guild that is all about peace and you really want to kind of stop the PvPers from like doing their thing all the time, you can actively try to block them from, because they want to go for full loot again.
There's just a certain amount of irony in that, since you have to win the deep desert to do that. But
counter that in a way, which I think is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, one of the ways you can do that is when you when the week ends and the guild leader.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Guild leaders are the ones that kill.
You have those moments where you're kind of wrapped up in something else, and they just want your attention,
they
and
vote
it's
with something called voting power that they gain based on how much their members contributed to the tasks. So a PvE guild, as you say, that
gotta love the fur babies,
and contributes a lot. They have more to say on which decree is chosen than a guild that contributes less.
Yeah.
So it's not only about the factions winning against the other factions, it's also about which guild within that faction has contributed the most.
Exactly.
The names of the contributors here, right? We got the Atreides, Sentinels, House Umbra, Nameplate, LFG, SOTS, SOG. I wonder what that actually stands for. Top #1 contributor for House Harkonnen, Dementia and Courage, Fremen with Benefit. Ravengate, Diamond Dogs, House Bigger. Those first two, it's like, oh, good God, man. There we go.
Exactly.
Because they get more power to decide.
You can see on the screen that on the two sides, you can see the top 5 contributing guilds.
Hard to go back and play it now. Yeah, negative associations.
I
understand that too.
You want to climb the ranks, so particularly the Harkonnen who like to backstab and take over each other's places.
Hey now.
But like it's you can see the same like with the Atreides. Maybe they're a bit more noble about it, but it's about there's also competitiveness within the guilds, within the factions, as well as this competition between the factions. Which is,
You're saying there might be backstabbing
I'm
in between
saying there might
factions.
be plans within plans. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Diamond Dogs, yeah, I don't know.
That's kind of the idea here, to build this system. And I want to stress that, like, when the game launches, this will be there, but it won't be as fleshed out as it will be over time, right? Because we'll continue to add more activities.
He said in the other video, one of the other videos that we watched, that at launch, the game will be worse than it will ever be, which I thought was a really interesting way to phrase it, right? He's like, we're going to work on the game and make it better and better and better and better. But interesting wording to say at launch, it is the worst it will ever be, which hopefully is true, right? But I love Joel's vibe, man. He is so energetic and enthused and excited about the whole project. So excited. Plans within plans, Hawk above Hawk, shady guild members, not really guild members with spies for the opposite guild. Sounds familiar a little bit. Yep, just a little bit. I am really looking forward to seeing how all this plays out, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it is polished over time, right? As Funcom, because it's just like playing D&D, right? Tabletop games. The dungeon master has this plan and this adventure laid out. And, he's got, even if he's a real planner, right? Because I'd be like, I have these encounters written out that are major encounters. And I'd be like, okay, I know my friend Kenny's going to do this. My friend Christopher's going to do this. My friend Greg's going to do the other. Because I know him. We've been gaming for years. And it doesn't matter how well you have it planned out. As soon as the players get involved, you have this whole giant story, right, down here. And here comes the players going, wandering off, making decisions that you did not have any idea that they were going to do. Game development's exactly the same way. No matter how great Funcom's plans are, the player base, we are absolutely going to shake that shit up. So it will be interesting to see how they react and grow and evolve and polish the game up. No story survives contact with a player, right? Exactly. Just like no plan survives contact with the enemy. We will ruin it. We absolutely will ruin it. And I mean, I can already imagine here with the Landsrod, right? We will have, not only will we have people in the same faction, right? Guilds in the same faction, who will be working together to do stuff. We will have guilds in the same faction that will be in some way working against each other, because the Deep Desert is not faction versus faction. It just isn't. The Lance Rod is. But the Deep Desert is group versus group. Now, hopefully all of the groups in your guild of 32 people, up to 32 people, will be working together. But other guilds may definitely be working against you in their own interest over your own. And that could include blocking you from completing a task that you want to complete because maybe they're actually working with a group from the other faction. So it will be interesting to see how all of this comes together, right? I think it's a very interesting choice that they have made to not offer any kind of friendly fire protection outside of your party. So it's going to be really important to be organized. I think that, you know, whether it's VoIP or Discord, voice chat, and I know a lot of people, the real organized people, are going to be in their own Discord groups, right? It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Guilds are going to form alliances to influence their political game in the Deep Desert. I can't see it staying free for all forever. No, there will absolutely be cooperation, right? There will be. I have no doubt that probably the biggest guilds, the most influential guilds, of course, will all, you know, you will have a Discord. Because if you watch Damone Kim's videos, right, they've already got a thing going in their Discord where it's like, you know, we'll get you into groups that can be in a guild and they'll have sub guilds. And I know that's absolutely going to be a thing, right? And if they've got 500 people, then they'll have however many guilds it takes to have, you know what I mean? And they can be spread across multiple sieges as long as they can get in the same world. But a group that big is community that big is probably going to impact more than one world as well, right? We'll see how it all goes. But I can actually absolutely see Harkonnen guilds and Atreides guilds going, I tell you what, we won't block you on House X as long as you don't block us on House Y, so that they can both complete their, I know they just told me what it is, the whatever rod that is the tic-tac-toe bar, right? There'll be those kinds of deals as well. Smart Discord-based fire teams and response teams, yeah, right? And I mean, you know, I expect that you'll see identifiable uniforms as well. Right? People, they'll everybody's going to wear this over here, or at least in these colors to help try and identify, make sure you approach from the north, blah, 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 blah. It'll be interesting. But I do kind of like the fact that it's a limited friendly fire protection, because that means tactics are really going to matter and the snafus will be real. Be somewhat limited, even what big guilds can organize and do, considering player limits. Yeah, and I mean, you could, as it's been discussed, right? The way that the Deep Desert is set up is there are 3x3 boxes, and each of those 3x3 boxes are 3x3 boxes. So there are 81 total servers in the Deep Desert that are connected through server meshing, and you can have 300 people in the Deep Desert in every zone, and each of the 9 large boxes, you can only have 100 people in each one. Those are the caps, right? So where you're able to deliver assets is definitely going to matter too. Because I mean, you know, if you've got the spice blow in this box over here, you're only going to be able to have 100 people in that 9 boxes in that one box. Right? And then how many of those are going to be your guild versus other guilds, or your faction versus the other faction? We'll have to see how that all works out. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Deep Desert is big, so I'm hoping that people who want to get involved in the other content will be able to do it. Yeah, max 100 in a tile. There you go. Is it 100 in a single tile, or is it 100 in a large tile in a 9x9 cube box? Because I'm not entirely clear on that either. Because I'm hoping it's 100 in a small one, which in that case, then you could have all 300 people in the deep desert in one of the large 9x9 tiles, which would be pretty dense, even if you can't quite cross I don't know. I'm not clear on that, but it will be interesting regardless. I know that there are a lot of people that are actually disappointed that the numbers are actually smaller than they expected, but we'll see. And they may open it up. Lots and lots of sand, yeah. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of like what we talked about with the Star Citizen before, is eventually space will be big, right? And you'll be able to go do your own thing off in a corner someplace. And even though the pirates could come along and kill you at any time, they're unlikely to do so unless you're in a hotspot location, right? And this will kind of be the same thing in the deep desert, right? Unless you're at the Spice Blow or at the deep desert science station, that's not the words I'm looking for, but the post-rock brain is real right now, then you might be able to kind of do what you want, regardless of how hot the PvP may be at the hotspots. So we'll see how it all goes. It's going to be interesting. Of course, it also depends on how visible you are for how long, because like, if you're just driving along on your sand bike, which obviously you're not going to be able to stay on the sand at length there, but if you're buzzing around on the sand bike out on one of the islands, you might be a lot less likely to be seen or on foot than somebody flying around in an ornithopter. Also forgetting keeping the deep desert supplied with vehicles isn't cheap. Yeah, it's all going to be, the logistics will be real, and I actually really love that because I'm a big fan of being involved with the logistics gameplay. So we'll see. I think it's going to be good.
Or decrease, so that the game will continue to evolve with different things happening, right? Like, and that's kind of the idea. Like, when we add X, that's going to start showing up in the Lensrad as an activity that we want people to do as a part of the Lensrad. And so this is a system that I feel has like an infinite potential to continue expanding as the game expands.
He always mentions repeatedly, it's like, we're going to add more to this. We're going to add more to this.
As well.
That's going to be very cool too.
Factions that are the winners, even if you lose, but maybe you can comment a little bit on that as well.
I expect a balancing will, absolutely, right? Because they have to be going at this from a conservative place, right? If they're saying, we know we can handle 300 in a deep desert and 100 in a tile, right? If they're saying they know they can do that, right? Because they absolutely aren't going to want to dial that back and say, sorry guys, we can actually only have 200 in the deep desert and 50 in a tile. They don't want to do that. So they've got to be considering, okay, this is a safe place to start. Let's see how it goes. Maybe we can bump those numbers over time, and maybe we'll wind up with 500 players in the deep desert by the end of the year, right? With maybe 125 or 150 players in a single tile. We don't know. We won't know until we see. But I genuinely believe that they've got to be coming at it from a conservative place, right? And then we'll see it grow if it can. Just like the Haga Basins. We don't know how many Haga Basins they're planning on putting in. I suspect that in 2 days when we launch early, I keep wanting to say early access, that's the wrong word, Head Start, right, is we'll have a game world and they'll open maybe 20 Haga Basins, right? So that's 800 people. And then on the 10th, they'll go, okay, we're going to add 10 more. So instead, we'll have 1,600 people who can be in the Haga Basins on that world, right? So, they may be able to grow those numbers even more than they're planning on, depending on how performant the servers are. Yeah, there will absolutely be a lot of snipers. I mean, both literally and figuratively with hostility. It is going to be, yeah, exactly. It makes me think of, I don't know if we played a lot of Star Citizen, and in the early days, if you got to Grimhex, which is the pirate base, the entire area around Grimhex was a free fire zone, right? So if you were moving around outside the asteroid base, you would be fired on. There would always be some sniper waiting for you to pop out that door and shoot you in the head. I didn't play Rust, but I know it's exactly that same kind of thing. That's it. Serpentine! Some Haga basins were tested with 150 with not so good results. 120 okay, but 80 was good. Yeah, that's way above the 40 cap. Yeah, so we'll see. And of course, once they're done launching, that moves them into a different phase of potential optimization as well, when they can see where they can allocate resources that maybe they didn't have to. Right? So yeah, even if they can go 80, even 80 would be quite a massive change from 40. So I'm excited to see, right? I am. And they're talking about 10 years of story content, right? 10 years of added content and DLC I'm looking forward to spending a lot of time on Arrakis. That's all I can say at this point. I am definitely way more excited for this game than maybe on some other project that I've been excited about for 12 years.
The houses, and they give everybody who contribute a certain percentage rewards. The rewards can be something like a great amount of Solari, a large amount of endgame components, unique schematics. Again, they're always powerful. And eventually even the house colors of that house as a swatch that you can apply to your own armor.
Absolutely true.
And this is given to players.
Larger population works to everybody's benefit as a player.
And they start at a pretty low percentage, so it should be something that's achievable for many players.
Also on a personal level. Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I have a tendency to do a lot of lone wolf gameplay when I play, because I work off. I play off hours from my region. And I've been playing a lot of games that don't have other people to play with. This will be different for me in that regard too, since we'll be hopping in with people we know.
There's multiple decrees that unlock different vendors, and they have, as I mentioned
those
before,
unique schematics that you mentioned.
Also true.
Strong schematics, and they also have.
That was one of the things we were talking about before, right? Is not only is there bases everywhere, but every time you go to do a PvE objective, it's already done. You don't want that to be a thing either.
Interesting, yes, for like any kind of player.
Yeah, people should be spread out.
Yes. I think that was actually a good overview already, and as mentioned, we have the beta weekend coming up, so no, actually players won't be able to check out the launch at the beta weekend, unfortunately. That's a bit,
It takes a bit too long to get here. This is endgame, right? Like,
yes, it's a bit too complex.
You can join a faction, you can join a faction in the beta.
You can.
I think you'll be able to join a faction and like start doing quests.
And we did.
What's it like to be a Harkonnen?
I think I did the first quest.
What's it like to be an Atreides? But
I know other people got further along than I did.
No, that's
scope
true.
that we're going to have on May 9th. But that's, that's a part of the.
I'm totally not sure what I'm going to do about that stuff either. I feel like I'm going to do the quest line and right up to the point where I have to choose, and then I just won't choose until I feel like I absolutely have to. Although I think the group we're playing with is more likely to go Atreides, unless we go Harkonnen to betray. So
this is going to be
I guess.
Really spicy questions, so that I can give really spicy answers.
Amar, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully we have you on the stream sometime soon. It's really great to have you. Thanks for your for the chat. To mention again, so we have collected questions from you during the stream. We will answer those during the Q&A. Plus, we do have a raffle that we will do during the Q&A.
All right, you know what? I actually, I spent too much time paused running my mouth. I am actually going to have to wrap up for today because I need to take care of some stuff with the Shield Maiden back on the garden. I had thought I would be able to get through this whole thing today, but it's just been all the conversation with all you awesome people and everybody else. And of course, I ramble too much. I will finish checking this out tomorrow, when hopefully we'll be able to get our preload done ASAP, because, man, I cannot wait to play on Thursday. We are so close, so close. I am going to rate out for everybody that's watching on Twitch. I appreciate the couple of people that hopped in that were checking things out on Kick and YouTube. I did start again today trying to multi-stream. I am trying to move towards getting more YouTube content done, and once we get into the game live and I'm able to record footage again, there's some stuff that I want to cover as far as what I can learn and what I have learned. I think I've got a pretty good plan for where I'm going at the beginning of the game. We'll see if that serves me well or not on Thursday when I hop in. We are going to do a long ass stream on Thursday, as long as I can manage to get through. I would not at all be surprised to see it go 12 hours at least, which is a long time for me. I'm old. But I do have to take care of the Shield Maiden as well. But it's definitely going to be a long stream. I'm going to go hard when we're ready to get into the game on Thursday. Mine's a relatively simple plan. That's it. Don't die. That's downtime. Yep. I mean, what I'm going to do is essentially I'm going to hit the first trial. I'm going to go to the trading post to get the trooper quest, and then I'm going to hit the science station to get the planetologist unlocked, and then I'm going to hop over and do the kills in the caves for the troopers so that I can be done with that. I do, however, want to make sure that I hit the unique chests on the way. So right after the trial, if I can climb up to all of the important points, I'm going to catch all of the camps and the unique item chest that's right there at the top near the first trial before I move over to the trooper. But then I want to hop around and I want to hit the whole of the map and then finish off and head north. Part of me is, though, like what I need to do is I need to do that first trial, go get trooper and planetologist, do the kills, go back, get trooper for the sugar wire, and then clean up the map. So I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. Thank you so much for the follow, King of Camouts. I appreciate it. If I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize. Do let me know if I am. I like to get everybody's name right at least once before I inevitably screw it up with my screwball post-stroke brain. But all right, I am going to get out of here. Let's see who else is doing what. Is anybody relevant doing anything today? I see. You know what? I don't think I'm going to raid out today because we're going from Doom. I don't see anybody else that's doing anything over there that's directly related that I know, at least. So I'm just going to wrap. And I don't want to send y'all over to somebody I don't know or somebody that's doing something completely unrelated to anything we talked about. I appreciate it, Limit Lions. Thank you so much. Normally, I do stream a little bit longer, but the wife and I have gotten into gardening, and between taking care of her stuff and getting into that, we've got a few things to take care of, and I have to make sure that I have everything prepared so that Thursday I can do that long stream. Go back to the sandbox, have fun? Yeah, all right. Anyway, y'all take it easy, and remember to stay safe and stay healthy, because being sick sucks, and I will see y'all around the verse. And I will be back at it again tomorrow morning to finish this view and see what else we need to check out. All the love, y'all. Peace out.